Hey, if I could have everybody's attention right quick. The unfortunate thing with everything that's, oh, never mind. I don't have to do that. There's Neil. We'll go from there. We'll give him a chance to sit down and we'll get started. Everyone, while we're waiting for a couple of technical things to get out of the way, let me go over a couple of things since we've got such a large crowd. When you given the opportunity to speak, when you come and you speak and address the podium and everything, if you'll press the button down to speak and state your name and address for the record would be great. I know there's a couple of things on here tonight that's going to take just a little bit of discussion on. With that, I'm going to tell you that you're allowed 3 minutes to speak. I'll run a timer, and that if you're here to speak for a group, you're allowed to speak 10 minutes for that group, and you can state the group that you're speaking for. But other than that, I know there's people here that are on a couple of issues here. Try to be mindful of what they say to where that you say to where that we don't hear a lot of repetitiveness throughout everybody's thing, and that'll be more appreciative to everybody else's time. So.
Good evening, everyone. Let's do a roll call before we start. So, Joel Kelsey.
Yeah, hang on just a minute, Sam.
Sure.
I'm going to call this January 13th, 2022 Washington County Planning Board to order. Now roll call, Sam.
Roll call. Joel Kelsey.
Here.
Lisa Miller.
Here.
Philip Humbard. Here. Neil Helm. Here. Jay Piercy. Lauren Shackelford.
Here.
Carol Lors. Okay.
All right, that gives us 5 out of 7 members that are here. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last month. If there's any suggestions or changes, let me know. Other than that, I'll take a motion in a second.
Make a motion for approval of minutes as stated from previous meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Sam, I don't see any red, so I'm assuming the agenda that's in front of us, it's what's going to be conducted.
Correct.
All right, then I'll take a motion and a second on approval of the agenda.
I motion that we approve the agenda.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll go straight into old business. First thing under Tawnytown Planning Area is the Victor Guerrero Residential CUP. CETA's not here. COVID has hit the planning department a little bit, so Sam, take her away.
Thank you. So just to make clear, so I'm gonna do the presentation, and Mr. Blake here is gonna just do the slides, and we're gonna switch between back and forth between default the cameras and the presentation. So if I miss anything in the middle, just wave to me so I can see it.
Okay, so Sam, are you going to present them all, and then if there's any questions, Blake will jump in and we'll go from there? Okay, all right.
Let's start. Victor Guerrero Residential CUP. So, the background and synopsis of the project. This project was tabled on December 9th, 2021 Planning Board meeting at the request of the Planning Board members. So the applicant is requesting conditional use permit approval to allow a second dwelling on parcels that is 1.25 acres in size. The zoning is for agricultural and single-family residential use with a maximum density of 1 residential per acre. The project parcel is in Tawnytown Planning Area. The subject parcel equals approximately 1.25 acres in size. So, the project is located on the southern side of Bill Sellers, Washington County 862 Road. The applicant would like to construct a second residential structure. Current zoning states that the residential parcels must be 1 acre or more in size per residential unit. The applicant's parcel is, once again, 1.25 acres in size and does not meet the zoning requirements for a second dwelling. So the existing condition of the property, once again, it's the property is zoned as agricultural single-family residential 1 unit per acre, and it's in an area that it's mixed with agricultural and residential uses. The property is contained 1 residence at the moment, and the remainder is wooded. The future use for the zoning designation, the current designation is going to stay, if approved, is going to stay the same as single-family residential and agricultural use. And that's why he's like requesting the allowance, because he needs to add more. So the neighbor comments, notification were sent by certified letter to all like adjoining property owners within 300 feet. As to date, staff has not received any comments, opposed or with or against. The planning conditions for approval, the CUP requested is for like an additional of for the addition of a second residence on the parcel that is approximately 1.24 acres in size. Any further development requires review from the planning department and possible approval by the planning board. All questions and concerns from the technical review must be addressed before final approval may be given. Back to the board.
Hey, Sam, I don't know if you can do it real quick. I'm trying to get memory. Why did we table this last month?
I believe like Mr. Lauren, like he requested like the presence of the applicant so we can discuss the, we can discuss if there is any, if in the future he's gonna like split the land and like request any financial like aid from the bank.
All right, that's what I need. All right, does anybody else have any more questions for Sam? All right, is the applicant here and would they like to speak? If you'll state your name and address, sir, when you get up there. And I believe Sam instructed us to make sure you press the button.
Yeah, just like the right button will be.
I am Victor Guerrero, 12887 Bill Sellers Road, Fayetteville, Arkansas, 72704. Well, not too long ago, my family and I moved here to Arkansas, and we left our secondary or extended family behind. We are requesting approval for this second home to be used as a guest house. We have zero intentions of splitting the lot, and we also have zero intentions of on selling as well. My family, my wife and I, we are very excited about this project. We really think that this will enhance property value around the neighborhood. Thank you all.
Thanks, sir. All right, anybody in the audience want to speak to this particular project? All right, then we'll take it to the board.
Mr. Chair, obviously, sir, I'm the one that had requested to be here to ask the questions, and it was tabled. My main question and concern was if there would be a lot split for the eventual sale of that house off, separated from your house. So that was the question that I had. I appreciate you being here today and answering that question for me. So, again, I'll state, you know, I would tend to think it would be better to have a lot split and separate legal descriptions, to have separate residences on the same piece of property, but that's not a requirement of the city, of the county to do so. I think that's better proper procedure, but it's not a requirement. So based on that, I would recommend that we approve this item as presented. Appreciate you answering my question.
All right, I've got a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next is under the county, item B, Nazareth Retreat Center, CUP.
Nazareth like Retreat Center, CUP. Background of the project. This project was tabled at December 9, 2021 Planning Board meeting by the attending members. The applicant is requesting conditional use permit approval to allow the operation and development of a retreat center. The zoning is for agricultural and single-family residential use with a maximum density of 1 residential per acre. The project parcel is not in the planning area. The subject parcel equals approximately 45 acres, 0.93. The project is located on the northern side of Vaughan Road, Washington County 382. Due to the size of the proposal, the applicant will return to large-scale development review once the CUP has been approved and ratified. The applicant intended to develop in stages. The first stage will include a retreat center with an outdoor pavilion, an office building, a splash park, and pool. The second stage will include a boat storage complex. The third storage will include a zip line facility. So the existing conditions for the property, once again, it's like agricultural and single-family residential, 1 house per acre. It's an area that it's mixed with agricultural and residential uses at the moment. The property is accessible from Vaughan Lake Road, Washington County 382. The property is currently vacant. The conditional of approval, like there is like list of them, and you can find them like on the presentation. The planning conditions for this project, the CUP requested for a retreat center. Should there be any deviation from this, the applicant must request an amendment to their CUP. The total area used for the CUP exceeds 1 acre. So the applicant process through the large-scale development review process is required. All questions and concerns from the technical review must be addressed before final approval may be given. Back to the board.
All right, does anybody got any questions for Sam?
Yes, sir.
All right, is the applicant here and would they like to speak?
George DeCane with Blue & Associates. Before I start, I just wanted to say I sent an email to CETA with some of the information that was requested, and since I just found out that she has COVID, I'm not sure if you guys received it or not.
I have not either. No.
Okay, so do I have the 3 minutes? Because it's quite a bit of information you guys requested. Okay. So there was a question about special events and whether they'd be mixed with weddings and birthdays. By the way, we do have the property owner available if you guys have any questions. The only intention of the special events is to have income to operate the nonprofit. Most organizations and churches do it. The special events aren't the main focus of what this property is. This property is mainly for family pastoral and catechetical formation. So catechism retreats, camping retreats, formation workshops, conferences and activities that will help for the current family needs. You guys asked hours of operation. For any indoor events or retreats or any of that stuff, it'd be from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. So all that would be encompassed inside the event center that they have there, or the retreat center, or the building that they have there. Exterior events would be limited from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. For active hours. There was a question of how to handle complaints from the neighbors. Can they contact? The ownership will have a staff on site that could be contacted. I believe they'll have a phone number for the business itself. The other option obviously is the police, but they will have somebody on site to be able to contact in case of any complaints from the neighbors. Another question was, will alcohol be served? This owner never has an intention to sell alcohol himself. So they're not going to make a business out of alcohol. But if people want to have alcohol in their events for their guests, we would think that it would not be a problem, because celebrations such as graduations, weddings, and birthdays, business celebrations, anniversaries, in general, they provide alcohol to their guests, but they bring it in themselves. However, if you guys still consider that alcohol should not be allowed, they would understand and have no problem following the rules. There was a question of occupancy. Per the owner, They expect to have 400 people indoors and 400 people outdoors. Now, obviously, that's the max occupancy. That's not what they're expecting every single time, but that is their occupancy requirements there. There was a question about how would we keep retreat participants from wandering off the properties. They are happy to do a chain link fence any area adjacent to any residential properties or home areas. That way they keep everybody off of the adjacent properties. How will lighting of the site be handled? They're going to have any necessary illumination in the parking areas and around the buildings. The trails in the woods will only be for day use, so that area won't have any lighting at night. What do we do with the noise? How late can they play? Somebody remarked that 11 o'clock might be too late for outdoor music, so they've limited to 10 o'clock. What kind of security will be provided? In the way of automated security, they're going to have cameras on the buildings. Otherwise, their staff members will be around during working hours of the different events and all those. Will the members' property ownership be at all the events? And the answer is yes. They'll have an office on site, and somebody will be there every day. And we'll have someone there until the event is over. There was a question about it was brought up about the red dirt pit. They basically use that dirt for building another one of their private projects. So it wasn't sold, it wasn't used for anything other than just their personal use. So they didn't actually do anything beyond that. They do apologize about any bother that they might have created, but it was basically for their own personal use. Operating times, the office will actually be open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Indoor event schedules, I think I've mentioned, 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. Outdoor event schedules, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Details of what events will be held. Their main objectives is the family, pastoral, and catechetical formations, so retreats, camping retreats, formation workshops, conferences, youth retreats, marriage retreats, those kind of things are going to be held, are going to be the main focus of this center. Special events like weddings, birthdays, graduations, they'll only have them to help fund the nonprofits so that they can sustain the site or the property. They have a vision and a main objective. I don't know if you guys want to hear the vision. No? Okay. Okay. And so their main concern is to help with family disintegration in the present. They're trying to offer religious type services, psychological, dealing with drug abuse, dealing with suicide, depression, domestic abuse, lack of identity, child abuse. So they're going to be providing those type of services as well as your standard church services. They also wanted to let you know that currently what they do is they go to Mount Sequoia for the retreats. And I don't know if you know Mount Sequoia, but it's kind of surrounded with residential houses. And they really haven't had anybody complain while they're doing that. So they wanted to let you know that they do currently hold it, but they're wanting to create like a place just for themselves to be able to hold those same type of retreats. But they really haven't had any issues over at Mount Sequoia. So if you do have any more questions, like I said, I have the owner here, so we can answer pretty much anything you might have. Thank you.
It's a good thing you're here. Remind me of that. Is there a reason why 7 a.m. to 1 a.m.? I mean, I understand the 7 to 10 on the other, 10 o'clock on the music. Is there a reason why to have it on the special events, have that open till 1 a.m.?
It's indoor, but
Usually special events like 15 years or what is like that, all the time is until that time.
So the special events is so that they have a little bit more time and indoors, so that and then that way they can have some of the muffling of the noise and all that, because I think that's, some weddings, they like to party a little bit past 10 o'clock.
That's late. Okay. Anybody else got any questions? All right, we'll start the process then. Again, let me remind you, we heard this last month. 3 minutes, 10 minutes if you're speaking for a group. And so with that, I'll open it up to any public comment on this particular project. And be sure and state your name and address when you approach. And again, press the red button.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, before we take public comment, if I could ask, specifically, can you tell this group and everybody here what we're looking at, what we're taking action on today? Is this a conditional use permit for this type of procedure only? Is this specific to this project? Is this the large-scale development? What specifically are we taking action on as a commission tonight?
So right now, based on the agenda, all you're looking at is the CUP, the conditional use permit, on this piece of property for this particular use. So because it's zoned single-family residential / agricultural, the permanent use of this property they're asking to change. And so the consideration for you is whether or not you grant them or recommend that the quorum court grant them approval for a conditional use permit for that particular use of that land.
Okay, so assuming that happens, quorum court agrees or approves it, then a large-scale development would come back, correct?
That's a question for planning, but
Correct,
Blake's
okay.
saying yes.
Correct. So if the area like being developed is like larger than 1 acre, yes. And when we say like large scale development, an engineer should be involved because it has like lots of like stipulations.
The only reason I make that point is if, we're discussing lighting, we're discussing security, we're discussing fencing, a lot of that stuff would be more relevant in a large-scale development conversation than it would be a conditional use permit conversation.
Yeah,
This
but I
is
think
correct.
you've got conditions within your conditional use permit
Yeah, all right.
that you can attach,
Okay, I
which is
just-
the list
Yeah,
that
and
he
any
just put up.
condition like in the CUP, the conditions will carry on like to the large development.
Yes,
and like
because that was our concern, that was
preliminary
our
and the-
concern last month, was the things that he just addressed sitting at the microphone.
Okay, thank you. I
So-
appreciate the clarification.
Okay, with that, I'll let you go ahead, sir.
It is on, right? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, I had sent a couple of letters through the email. I don't know.
your name, what's your name, sir?
Clint Harp.
Your address?
Over the email. Yeah, my name's Clint Harp. I'm with the address 18249 Oak Ridge Road, Springdale, Arkansas. And I don't know if y'all got those letters or not. I sent it to the email address that was on there. From my mom, the handwritten notes. I just sent it like a couple of days ago.
I know I got a bunch, and I know I got one that I couldn't open because my company computer will not allow me. So I did get a bunch of those.
Okay.
Yours may have been one of them.
Oh, okay, well, I hope not. But anyway, the neighbors had a lot of concerns, including myself. And I know he may have addressed some of this stuff, but I just want to go back over some of it. I'm concerned how to increase traffic, noise, and the light pollution from the parking lot lights that's going to be there will affect the wildlife and the livestock. We have deer, bobcat, coyote, fox, bears, red-tailed hawks, ducks, geese, and a few bald eagles. All these will be disturbed by this constant flow of campers and hikers and zip liners and the noise from the retreats, from the group meetings and the noisy celebrations. We all know that indoors will eventually go outdoors. With this increased flow of traffic, this is going to mean that there's an increased chance of hitting wildlife and pets and them being killed. It's just an increased chance of that happening all around us. I'm also concerned about how light pollution from the parking lots is going to affect the animal habitats and their natural behavior. I'm concerned with how it's going to affect the night sky. My wife and I, we're amateur stargazers, and we like to go out there and we like to look at the comets and the meteor showers and the lunar eclipse. And not only us, but there's other people who come out there with us or that just show up at these times of the year. And that parking lot, no matter what you say, even with those lights pointing down, it's going to affect how you see in the sky. It makes the objects just harder to see. I'm also concerned about the security. What will be the hours of operation? We discussed that. Is there going to be 24/7 on-site security? And it's just going to prevent people from going in to just retreat after hours. How are they going to stop that? Is there going to be a gate? Is there going to be a guard shack? And I'm just thinking, you know, what about the drinking and drugs that always seem to occur on these out of the way parking lots? You know, they're always going to find these out of the way parking lots, and they're going to do things unless there's a way to lock it up. Who's going to ensure that people will not trespass from our site from their site to our private property? All around us, this is a quiet rural community, and this is where we live and we farm. This is not a place for a bunch of noisy strangers to come out and party. Now, Mr. Ortiz, who owns your property, he's not going to live there. We do, and he's not going to be impacted by what happens out there. We are. This is a quiet, respectable community, and we'd like to keep it that way. Just on a personal note, I want to bring this up. I don't know if it was in some of the other letters. Mr. Ortiz did dump dirt on our fence.
Mr. Harper, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up.
Okay,
3 minutes
but
are
I
up.
just wanted to let you know that if he's been, what do you say, sliding by the law just a little bit, what makes him not in the future going to do the same thing? So I just wanted to bring those concerns up, and I'm sure there's other people that want to speak as well.
Understand.
So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Next.
Thank you for this opportunity to be here with you. My name is Cindy. I'm at 18249 Oak Ridge Road in Sonora, Springdale, Arkansas. Many of our neighbors are very much concerned about this project that's going to be going on. Besides the light pollution, many of the things that this trail is supposed to provide, the ambience, the beautiful setting of walking around and looking at wildlife, will be destroyed because the deer and the bears and the fox and all of those critters that live out there will vacate the premises, and we'll be left with a bunch of downed trees, a trail that people are walking on, and no wildlife. Besides that, we have discussed the issue about traffic. 800 people on Vaughn Road will not be able to handle the traffic. I've tried to tell you also the last time, the big concern about car accidents on Vaughn Road prior to 412 being relocated was astronomical. We did have fatalities, several of them right beside our farm, just where the road curves. You cannot see traffic coming on those curvy roads. And so people who are inebriated, not paying attention, they will have an accident. Also, our children are there. Besides our animals, our livestock, our children are there. And we don't want anything happening to them, being affronted by some stranger from a resident camp who decided to go off the residential area and take a walk up along our roads. I appreciate that they want to help the community and want to set aside for, I guess, for counseling centers. I appreciate that, but Springdale does have things like that already in place. We have plenty of walking trails in northwest Arkansas that people can go to. I particularly like my fishing hole, and I don't want to go down there and find a boat storage there. So I'm opposed to this retreat, and I pray that, that you'll consider that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Next. Yeah, you just turned it off. Yeah, there you go. Right
It's already
there.
on?
It's good.
Okay, my name's Scott Phillips. I'm at 18321 Oak Ridge Road. Our property joins this facility they're talking about putting in, and our concern is the traffic. I looked here at the ITE generation manual, and their calculations of this is for a project on East Mission Boulevard. That I don't understand at all. I did contact the Arkansas State Police, talked to Mrs. Cindy Gresham with the State Police Highway Safety Commission, and the figures that she gave me was from 16 to 2020. There was a total of 5 fatalities within a 1 mile range right there. There's 103 homes, 1 business, and 2 lake access boat ramps there. That all of those residential homes and everything else has got to come out through 1 point onto Highway 412. Looking at his plans here, he's got proposed 459 parking spots. We just take half of that. That's 229.5 vehicles. I guess the 0.5 is a Prius or something. But that you could be looking at 200 vehicles all leaving this facility at the same time, pulling out onto 412. If you look back to the west, you've got about 100 yards visibility. It's supposed to be 55 miles an hour through there. Everybody all heads and kicks it up to 65 because that's what you hit when time you hit the bridge. It's really dangerous pulling out there. I witnessed a fatality there one day. There was just a dump truck turned over where a car pulled out in front of him. He swerved to avoid. He laid his dump truck over to avoid killing the person. So the traffic issue is going to be the biggest thing here. And I was wondering if they have done a traffic impact analysis, if we've got any kind of figures on that. Anthony Dowd with Arkansas Transportation Planning and Policy Division, he's supposed to be getting back with me with some data on the traffic problems on 412. It's highly traveled through there. If you pull up the stop sign there coming off of Vaughn Road, which every one of us that lives down through there has to come off that intersection. We're surrounded by the lake. There's nowhere else to go. And he's supposed to be getting me the information on that. I talked to a 32-year veteran with the State Highway Patrol. He said there's no possible way to put up a traffic light there. He said you're coming over the hill to a traffic intersection, high speed, and he said in the heading west traffic will back up possibly on the bridge. He said the highway department will not allow that. That's our main concern, is the traffic population and increase in there and the dangers. We had a fatality there just last year at that intersection. I've been living there 16 years. When you pull out, you better go or you're going to get run over, you know. And thankfully, this gentleman did confirm that there will be alcohol there. I've got no problem with that. What I got a problem with is if you've got 100, 200, 250 cars of people that's been drinking and partying at a wedding or a birthday deal, they're going to be pulling out on Highway 412. I'm just foreseeing a lot of problems there, and with all the residents that lives below that, everybody down in there, they're going to have a lot of problems. If you're 3 cars back waiting at that stop sign, you're going to be there a while.
Okay. I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up.
Am I done? Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else?
Is this on?
Yes.
My name's Andy Huckins. I'm building a house currently at 18390 Oak Ridge Road, bordering property to this development proposal. My main concern is, along with, I won't rehash some of the things that have already been talked about, but noise. We're directly across from where this project is going to be happening. We're at the end of a quiet road right now. It's a dirt road. That's why I bought the property. That's why I am building a house there. My question is there as far as my knowledge, there is no noise ordinance in Washington County, if I'm correct. I have some friends that live nearby that are dealing with this same issue. They have no recourse when it comes to noise. They can call the sheriff comes out, there's nothing they can do. That's, an issue. The gentleman that was here last month that was representing this proposal, some of the things he said was they're not planning amplified music outside the building. That's no guarantee, and he said most of it would be inside. So another thing that he said was maybe there would be mariachi bands that they go outside and they could get pretty loud. So that's a concern that was from the proposed development. So, and I agree with the council, I believe it was you that said, 11 p.m. was pretty late for outside music. And I know they've talked about changing that. And then any concerns about, existing violations with the previous dirt mining and things like that, are they going to comply with what they're proposing now? And they talked about zip line. Would that be lighted and done at night? That's a concern. There would be noise. If you're on a ride, you're going to scream. If that's after hours, that could be a noise problem. And also, what kind of assurances would there be for noise or for the hours? And what kind of recourse would we have if there was an issue that we had a problem with? Thank you for your time.
You bet. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Tracy Vaughn. I live at 18191 Vaughn Road. I will keep it short because I know a lot of what I have to say would be a repeat. But I think a lot of what my objection to the plan is not so much the retreat center as the theme park-like amenities that will be used to fund the retreat center. The hours from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. for weddings, functions, graduations, things of that sort. Every single one of those people leaving that will drive right by my house at 1 a.m. And not just mine. So the traffic is most assuredly an issue in traffic safety. I believe one other person mentioned that if you have 3 cars stopped at that stop sign, you'll probably have about 5 to 7 minutes before you can get out on the highway. And so if you have 200 cars, it'll be backed up from Highway 412 to their entrance for an appreciable amount of time. The only thing new that I saw in the new letter that we got was the addition of the zip line. Based on the topography of that area, does that mean they're going to have to implement zip line towers, which would be a whole different issue of aesthetics? So that was another concern, as well as the noise, because 1 a.m., what constitutes noise, the noise ordinance, and what constitutes too loud? Because, if you open a truck door and turn on your radio, it can be really, really loud. So those are just my concerns. I know, like I said, you've heard many of them before. Just wanted to put my 2 cents in, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Thad Brown. I live at 18755 Keenan Avenue, which is Rochelle Riviera, which is down around the circle that they were talking about everything. And I just want to agree with what I've heard tonight from all the complaints and second their motion. Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir. Anyone else? All right, then I'll take it. Oh. No? Are you coming, ma'am?
She's coming.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. I happen to live down here. I don't know if you got your pictures with you.
We've got a general thing. Can you state your name and address, please, ma'am?
Donna Clifford, 18528 Keenan Avenue, Springdale, Arkansas. Okay. I first got this coming in and whatever, and it sounded like a Nazarene church. That's the letter that I got, that it's a retreat center. Does that, everybody get the one that's calling it a retreat center? Okay. And then it started changing. First of all, it was going to be just a trail walking place and all this and that. And then it kept getting smaller and smaller and bigger and whatever. You see the area. Now see, they've got this whole area out here, absolutely, all the way here, from the highway all the way down. And anyway, then I start seeing swimming pool. Now the Nazarene, they'll have a swimming pool out there. They're going to have a big wedding thing. I forget how many square feet it is out there. Parking for about 50 people. And then on down beside this is boat ramps. Now they did change the picture a little bit because where the people that had the boat ramps, it would come in right by my driveway, so I could have driveways going night and day and whatever to their fishing. I just don't understand. Like he says, we have animals out there. I walked out 2 weeks ago and had a fox walk right by me in my yard, walk right by me. I wanted to say, hey, hello, because it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. But I'm saying we have a lot of deer, animals, and not to mention, right across the road, it does not mention, that is big ranchers. They have cows out there all the time, large number of cows. So I don't know how that's going to mix all these cattle, the big cattle thing out here, with all this stuff going on over here. And that's about it.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
There's just too many things on here that I really question. I'm Presbyterian, and I don't remember the Nazarene-type people taking their whiskey and putting in swimming pools. And do y'all have that at your churches, huh?
Understand.
Huh?
I said I understand.
Okay, well, that's just it. There's a lot of very questionable things on here.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
And like I say, if you'll look, my house is one of the closest ones to it.
Got you. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? All right. Hey, you want to let Chance say anything if you want to say anything else?
There was a question about whether it's going to be gated. The answer is yes, they're actually planning on gating it, so we'll have that kind of deal. There was a question about 24/7 security. They do not plan on hiring 24/7 security type office, but it will be staffed by the employees of the company. There was a question whether or not the zip line would be lit up at night. The answer is no, the zip line will only be in use during the daytime hours. I think that's the only other thing that I could possibly address at this point. And there was a lot of things that have come up, but.
The traffic study.
I mean, the traffic study, I think that, doesn't the county require it when we go through large scale?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that'll be done during large scale events.
All right.
Yeah, large scale is going to require like an engineer involvement, so.
Question of the applicant, if you don't mind. So we've heard a lot of conversation about the private use. I'm going to call it religious use, private use. I don't know if that's right or wrong. But a lot of the concern seems to be the weddings, the graduation parties, the stuff that you're talking about doing for profit to run the nonprofit aspect of it. Is there an estimation, what percentage of the use of this property is going to be church-related, retreat-related, public-related, versus what percentage of the use of the building is going to be private-related, for-profit to fund the nonprofit aspect?
You know, it's funny enough, we were talking about this earlier today, and I kind of figured that the percentage of use was going to come up, but they didn't have an answer for me. The primary use of this is going to be the church-related deals. The events aren't the primary use of this project. So I don't think they have a percentage in mind of how it's going to be split up, but I do understand that the very primary portion of what this facility is going to be used for is those psychological, you know, drug abuse issues, those kind of things. So,
I mean, obviously, I'm very familiar, you referenced the Mount Sequoia.
Sure.
And I'm very familiar with that. I've lived in that area. I've been in this town my whole life. I know the religious aspect of that, and Lord help me if there's any place that you don't want to disrupt is Mount Sequoia, Fayetteville, as far as local citizens and communities and that sort of thing. I've never seen it be an issue. So to me, that is the crux of this. Are we talking 85% of the time it's going to be church-related facility use, and 15% of the time, are we talking maybe 20 weekends a year there's going to be a wedding? Or are we talking 50 weekends a year there's going to be a wedding?
let me, since I didn't get an answer earlier, maybe they'll have an answer now. So if you give me just a second.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
They think that it won't be used for events any more than about 40% of the time. Any other?
Any leeway on the 1 a.m.?
Yeah, I mean, we have to, most of the time, that those weddings, the end of the event is on 12. So we needed 1 hour to clean it up and that stuff, so.
So the event itself would end at 12, and they think that it would be until 1 a.m. so that they could do cleanup after the event. That way.
I understand the whole cleanup and everything, but anything that I've ever rented has a set time that you rent that for.
Yeah.
And then when you're done.
So
then
they're
you're-
saying that the
You're
event-
usually cleaning up, or they're cleaning up, and, you know, there's not much disruption there after that. I mean, you know, 1 a.m.'s a problem for me.
Yeah, so they're thinking that the events would end at 12 a.m.
And help me remember, because I'm sorry I don't have that letter. That's internal or inside events only. The cutoff,
Yeah.
outside events was 10?
10, yeah, the outside events are 10, the inside events would be end at 12, and then they would have an hour for cleanup, so.
Okay.
Everything.
All right, anybody got any other questions? Okay. Then I'll bring it to the board. Yeah, I don't know, there's a couple of things with me on this, you know, the time frame on this, how late it is. You know, I'm conflicted on the issue that we're gonna counsel, but yet we're gonna have events that's gonna have alcohol, which almost seems conflicting to me, but, you know, like I said, I'm one voice, so. No other comment y'all have addressed, I'll put it in front of the board.
So, Mr. Chair, I guess that kind of goes back to my initial question of the legal representation. My primary concern is traffic. That is something that I've gone out to the site, I've driven it, I've driven the intersection. I think that traffic study is going to be a huge issue here, but that doesn't come to the next step, which is large-scale development. That's why I asked the question that I asked prior to this conversation. So I guess I'm a little bit of a loss on how I want to proceed, because I can't get all the questions answered that I want to be answered in my mind to fully support the project, because I don't have all the information, because it's not required to the next step of the process. In theory, I support any sort of public use. I think that churches, retreats, all these are good things. I understand the concern about light, noise, but unfortunately, you know, you have that with all development, and properties are going to develop at some aspect. So I guess you know, again, my main concern is the traffic, and I don't know how to get there without a traffic study, which isn't required at this step. So I'm at a loss on how to proceed in this process.
Understand. And with that taken into consideration, I'll still take the lead from the board. I'll take a motion for or against.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the Nazareth Retreat conditional use permit as recommended by the staff.
With the conditions that they listed?
Yes, sir.
All right, I've got a motion in front of us to approve with the conditions listed. Do I have a second? Ma'am, I'm sorry, we're already done. Thank you, though.
I guess I would ask the motioner if you would consider amending the motion to reduce or shorten the hours of operation, maybe limit it to 10 o'clock for exterior and 11 o'clock for interior activities on the property.
Is that something that's predicated by this, that would be necessary?
It would be a term of approval for the conditional use permit, yes, sir. So it would, that's again, back to my initial question, where I get confused. There are things like that that have to be done at the conditional use permit and not at the large scale development.
Well, can you accept the 12 o'clock event and 1 o'clock cleanup?
I can't, no, sir.
Have you ever been to one of those parties?
Oh, I have, yes, sir. I mean, I've got my previous residence, there were wedding chapels on adjoining property, and
Well, you know, we got to be real here. I
I
mean,
understand. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to take it back to the board. I've got a motion. Do I have a second? If there's no second, it dies. That's what I'm waiting on. All right. I'll state without the second, then the motion dies, is denied. So your recourse is you can appeal. Or we can have another motion, unless somebody wants another motion.
Well, I walked out on a limb. I guess I'll continue to walk. I'll make a motion for approval subject to staff requirements with the exception of changing the hours of operation to limited to 10 p.m. for outside events and 11 p.m. for inside events.
All right, I've got a new motion with the hours changed. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I've got a motion for approval with the new hour change in the listed conditions. I've got a second. Sam, do roll call, please, sir. on this one.
Vote on it.
Yes.
Joel Kelsey,
No.
Philip Humbart,
No.
Neil Helm,
Yes.
Lisa Miller,
No.
Lauren Shelford.
Yes.
Okay, Brian, I think this is almost where we were last month with a 3-2. It fails. So.
I think your rules state that you have to have a majority of the total members. in order
Present,
for-
not on the board.
No, on the board, kind of like quorum court. You
Okay.
have to have the majority of the total number of members of the board, not the total number present on a CUP.
But is that deny or that, because I'm trying to figure out, it was brought back for us, and I'm almost thinking we had a 3-2 vote last month, and it got brought back to us again under the same conditions because we didn't have.
This one didn't.
It did?
No.
Okay. No, you're right. It was, I got you. Okay. So it denied, it's denied.
Right.
So recourse is to appeal to the Quorum
It's
court.
not denied, it's just, it failed to get approval to be recommended onto the quorum court. So, I mean,
Okay.
the process ends here unless the applicant appeals.
Okay, that's your option then. Thanks for the clarification, Brian. All right, we'll move on down to the next item on the agenda, which is Fayetteville Planning Area. Item C, Ellis Estates CUP.
Ellis Estate Conditional Use Permit. This
Okay, wait,
CUP,
Sam, wait just a minute, let them.
Sure.
That were part of that clear out, if you don't mind, sir.
Chairman. Ellis Estate Conditional Use Permit. This CUP is for this project was heard at the September 30th, 2021 Planning Board meeting where it was denied. The applicant has come forth with a redesign to seek approval. The applicant is requesting conditional use permit and preliminary subdivision approval to develop like a 48 lot subdivision on 2 parcels, which will result in lots being less than an acre in size in an area that is zoned for agricultural and single-family residential uses with a maximum density of 1 residential unit per acre. The project is located within the Fayetteville planning area and must receive the city's approval along with the Washington County. The project site is accessible from Arkansas State Highway 45, being that the project is within the planning area. The streets were designed using the City of Fayetteville's local street standards. All of the residential lots are under like 1 acre in size, being that all the residential lots are non-conforming with the current county lot size of 1 acre per residential lot. The applicant must gain CUP approval for the Planning and Zoning Board and be ratified by the quorum court in addition to being subject to a preliminary subdivision review approval process as well. The proposed development will be served by an existing 8-inch water line on the south side of East Mission Boulevard, Arkansas Highway 45, and to the end of the existing water line at East Windermere Drive. The applicant intends to have a decentralized sewer system. Permitting and design must be approved by the Arkansas Department of Health. One of the proposed lot will be the detention lot. According to the stormwater report, the project site slopes towards the north. The drainage system has been designed using the City of Fayetteville's drainage manual. The proposed lot will have 1 dry detention pond on it. The dry detention pond is designed to control all of the stormwater generated by the post-constructed site. The pond will release the water into existing channels and then into the natural stormwater system that is less or equal to what would be prior to the development. The subject property is zoned once again as agricultural single-family residential, 1 house per acre, and it's an area that it's preliminary residential. The property has structures on it and is wooded to a degree. The structure, which is like 1 house and 1 shed, and the wooded area will be removed. The property currently not being utilized in a residential or agricultural manner. If the project is approved, the zoning will stay the same, but with a conditional use allowance. Notification were sent by certified mail to all the adjoining property owners within 300 feet. Staff has received multiple emails regarding the proposed project. We received about 40 signee petitions. They're ranging between the concerns between environmental, traffic, congestion, property density, and that's about it. So the recommendation and conditions, staff has reviewed the CUP submitted documents and feels that the proposed use can be made compatible with the following conditions. There is like lots of utility conditions, fire safety conditions, and the sewer conditions. The planning conditions are, this request is only to address zoning. The applicant will be required to apply for a preliminary subdivision review before they may start to develop anything. Review and approval by the city of Fayetteville must be obtained before final approval from the county will be given. Back to the board. Of course, in addition to the standard conditions of all the projects, so.
Okay.
The CUP.
Brian, then can you explain why this is back in front of us again?
Yes. This was appealed, and it was appealed to the judge, which is allowed under the ordinance and the planning rules. Judge Wood reviewed this project. Because there were 3 votes in favor and 2 votes against, so there were more in favor like what happened with the previous project, he felt that it should come back for a second look to see, since there were several people absent. I doubt that an appeal at this point to the judge would do anything. I don't think that the judge would be interested. I can't say, but I doubt he would send it back if it were appealed to him for a 3rd time. He'd probably send it on to quorum court for a final decision. I do want to state that the judge has received a lot of information, and I've received a lot of questions about this particular project, and I want to make sure that I'm very clear with everyone here and with the board to know that when it comes to subdivisions that are inside the planning area of a city, every aspect of that subdivision is under the control of the city. You all are here, and you don't have any say over the septic, over any roads, any guttering or stormwater. I mean, all this board can do is approve the use, being that it's less than 1 unit per acre or not. And anything else falls outside of Washington County's ability to regulate, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
So that anything else after that, I think it would be improper for the board to say, well, we don't like the road layout in this, and so we're going to deny it, because you don't have any control over that. The question before you is, are you going to allow this property to be used for 1 unit in less than 1 acre?
Thanks, Brian. All right. I already asked anybody any questions for Sam? All right, is the applicant here?
So George Duquesne with Blue Associates. I'll give you a real quick synopsis of some changes that we made. We went from, I don't remember how many lots we had before, but we are now down at 45 lots. And we have made the appropriate changes, stormwater report, given a full set of plans to CETA for the actual subdivision. However, I have talked to the developer, and they would rather proceed when we have a full board present, so they are requesting to table the project tonight if at all possible.
Okay. So we need to vote on that? Okay. The applicant's requesting the table, so I'll take a motion and
I'll make a motion, we table it till our next planned
got a motion?
commission meeting.
Got a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's tabled. And so will item D be. So now we'll move on down to, well, we'll wait, Sam, some. We'll let everybody clear out, because I think the bulk of everybody else was.
Both C and D are tabled. Yes. The next thing on the list.
All right, Sam, I think we've got the room cleared out. So let's move to new business, conditional use permit hearings, Farmington Planning Area, Martin Barn Venue, CUP.
Martin Bar Venue, CUP. The applicant is requesting residential conditional use permit approval to allow the development and operating of an event center. The zoning for is for agricultural and single-family residential use with a maximum density of 1 residential unit per acre. The project parcel is in the city of Farmington planning area. The subject parcel is approximately 3.3 acres in size. The project is located along a private road known as Shetland, Washington County 3638, which is accessible from the north side of Bethel Blacktop, Washington County 62. This subject property is zoned as agricultural single-family residential, and it's like an area that it's mixed with agricultural and residential uses. The property contains 1 residence and a venue barn. If the project is approved, the zoning will stay the same, but with a conditional use allowance. The staff feels that the proposed condition and with the applicant's willingness to ensure compatibility, this project may be made more compatible with the rural residential nature of the area. The existing barn-style structure is not commercial in appearance and thus blends in with the area. Notification were sent by certified mail to all adjoining property owners within 300 feet. To date, many comments in opposition of the project were received. The planning conditions, this CUP there's like a couple of them, few of them. This CUP request is for the event barn avenue. Any deviation from this permit use may require further permitting and review by the planning staff. 2, any further additions in terms of expanding the current barn-style structure or building a new structure for either the businesses or for gathering purposes must come before the planning office and potentially the planning board for approval. 3, all questions and concerns from the technical review must be addressed before final approval given. Number 4, there shall be no music outdoors. Any music amplified or otherwise is limited to indoors. 5, the applicant should contact the adjoining property owners that also share the driveway easement and in good faith discuss possible upgrades and improvement to the existing driveway. Number 6, the applicant should stay with their proposed hours of operation as listed on their letter of intent. Sunday to Thursday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sundays from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Other set hours of operation may be imposed by the planning board or quorum court. Back to the board.
Sam, can you give me the hours again?
Absolutely. So as they sent in their letter of intent, Sunday to Thursday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., Fridays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., Sundays from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Sunday through Thursday, 8 to 9, Saturday and Friday and Saturday, 8 to 10. Okay.
Yeah, Sundays is like repeated twice, but it's the same hours.
Does anybody got any questions for Sam?
It says the city of Farmington objects to CUP. What evidence do we have of that?
You have a letter from the mayor?
Sam, is any of that in the packet?
I
Other
don't
than
have
just
it on me right now, but we can provide it. when we. Okay. Have you emailed it to any of the
This is included in the packet.
Okay, hang
so
on.
it'll
We're
be-
getting
I
stuff
don't
that
have
we
it
need to
on
be,
me, so.
we need to be talking about on record. Is this the only scale that we've got, is just these hand drawings?
Yep.
Okay. So don't really know the parking lot size there? Okay. Anybody got any questions for Sam? All right, if the applicant's here, then if you'll step forward, yeah. State your name and address, please. No, yeah, it was on. Yeah, turn it back on. There you go.
The right one.
Close, there you go.
I turned it off, I'm sorry. Considering there's a lot of concern about this, it's going to take me about 6 minutes, if that's okay.
Okay.
My name is Virginia D. Martin, 12498 Shetland Road. First of all, I would like to thank the Washington County Planning Commission and board members for serving our community and for giving of your time in this matter. We are asking for our barn on our property to be approved for the cut permit. The barn venue would be a small-scale venue to host up to 50 people, as seen in the pictures in the application. Events of this type usually run from 20 to 50 people, and we would like to continue what we already are doing, but be able to open the barn to the public. When we bought our property in Washington County in 2001, we bought it for the views of the open farming fields and the open country feel of the area. It was very rural out here when we purchased our property. But 7 short years later, we would receive a letter that a new subdivision with over 60 homes was coming in, and it would literally be in our backyard. We were devastated and upset, to say the least, and we were worried and concerned about vandalism, theft, trespassers, noise, traffic, and the list goes on. And yes, we had to deal with all these issues in the beginning years. But we had to find a way to adjust in our new environment that now surrounded us. We have planted over 500 privacy-screened shrubs that are fully mature at 15 feet, and over 35 oak trees that are fully mature at over 40 feet that border all 4 sides of our property. A 6-foot privacy fence lines the backyards of our 5 Bethel Oaks Drive neighbors. I would like to address some of the concerns that we have heard from several neighbors personally and after reading all the letters that have been sent in. We have mailed out 47 letters to all the surrounding neighbors to let them know our intentions for the barn, so that all the neighbors could hear from us firsthand our response to their concerns. The post office said they would receive those letters by Saturday, January 8th. We included our phone number and address in that letter, and we have not received any response from any of them so that we could discuss their concerns. Shetland Road, Washington County Road 3638 is a residential gravel road/driveway, which is maintained by both the Long family and ourselves. We have our warranty.
Ma'am, excuse me just a minute. I'm going to ask for respect. If you can have respect while she's up here, if you want to make the comments and stuff, you're more than happy to leave the room. But she'll give you the same respect you give her. I just ask you that, okay? All right, go ahead, ma'am.
We have our warranty deed with us today, and it clearly specifies that there is a 30-foot wide roadway easement for ingress and egress that runs from our 3.3 acres to the county road at Bethel Blacktop Road. That is more than wide enough to have a 2-lane road with easy access traveling in or out of our property. Bethel Blacktop Road is a paved road that is only 20 feet wide, that has traffic from many of the communities in Washington County, including but not limiting Farmington, Prairie Grove, Fayetteville, and Highway 62. To date, we have no record of any wrecks entering or leaving our property after our gatherings on Shetland Road. We have never received a citation for noise from Washington County Sheriff's Office in the 20 years that we have been having events on our property. Most of the events in the last 19 years were outside under tents with amplified music held on our driveway and the surrounding grassy area, away from the majority of the neighbors, as you can see on the map. The trees and shrubs have given us privacy, as well as giving our neighbors their privacy too. We have also planted over 50 Thuja giant evergreen trees this past spring along the back side of our property for even more privacy. From April to November, you cannot see most of our 3.3 acres from the 500 dense thorn shrubs and the oak trees. We have been hosting friends and family at this address for 20 years now. I have been an active volunteer on the Farmington and the Northwest Arkansas community for 30 years, and I consider all the people that I serve in these different programs friends. So when I use the word in this application, it is covering a large portion of these types of gatherings and events that we have been hosting, with no complaint from our neighbors until this past week when we read through all the letters that the county has received. None of our guests have ever trespassed on the Long's property. Even if our guests are driving on the grass along the gravel road, they are still well within the 30-foot easement that is granted on our warranty deed. As far as the concern for the neighborhood dogs and mules, we personally have had our own 2 to 3 outdoor dogs and our rather large chicken coop for the first 15 years. And for 20 years, our pond has always been full of ducks, currently 17 ducks that are fenced in. The chicken coop and the duck pond are very close to our area of events, closer than any of our adjoining neighbors. We have never lost any of our animals due to the stress from our outdoor events with amplified outdoor music, considering we were outside under tents and very close to our beloved pets for 19 years. Dust from the gravel road. Back in the day when both the Long family and our family were hosting quite a few events, due to our children being very involved in school and sports, there was a lot of traffic coming up and down Shetland Road on more of a daily basis from family and friends and the school community. This heavy traffic was shared by both homes on the road for many years. We are asking the board to consider the fact that we have been doing this for a very long time, and there are other businesses that are in our immediate area and have been for quite some time. We will take great care for our neighbors, that our neighbors are being respected and not disturbed as we always have in the past. We will be very selective in who we rent to. We have close family and friends that are in law enforcement here in Northwest Arkansas, and safety is our #1 priority. We live on the property full-time. Our home is adjacent within 50 feet of the barn itself. We will be very active in helping our clients, just like we have done for our personal family and friends. Potential clients can view our barn by appointment only. We will not have amplified music outside of the barn. We are following all the guidelines to fulfill the requirements for the conditional use permit. We are asking for your approval on project number 2021-431 for Martin Barn Venue to be granted a cut permit. Also, if the planning board has any comments or suggestions that could help everyone come to an agreement, we are open to hearing what your thoughts and advice are. And again, thank you for your time and service to Washington County and to our community.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Martin while she's here? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, I will open it up to public comment. Like I said, remind again, 3 minutes, 10 minutes if you're speaking for a group, and if you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
First of all, I just want to thank you all for being here. It's nice to be able to do this in person and not on Zoom. My name is Jerry Harris, and I am a planning commissioner for Farmington. And I've served on the planning commission for several years. I live on Bethel Blacktop at 12688 Bethel Blacktop Road. Lived there for 40 years. I've seen the traffic increase there. I'm here to speak against the conditional use permit for the Martin Barn venue. You have received the comments from our mayor, Ernie Penn. Have you all read them, and are you familiar with them? I'm asking you that as a question. He has, in his letter, he says that if this conditional use permit was requested within our city limits, it would not be approved, and I agree with his comments. I'm addressing criteria D and G as listed on the CUP application. This proposed project is in the Farmington planning area, according to the Washington County GIS map. On this map, the zoning for this area is agriculture or single-family residence with 1 unit per acre. The area around this project is residential or agricultural. There are existing homes surrounding the project. This project is located at the end of a private, narrow gravel driveway. Criteria D on the CUP application states that the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area. This project is non-conforming to what already exists on the land surrounding the project. The proposed use of this project is spot commercial zoning, which we do not like to allow. The classic definition of spot zoning is the process of singling out a small parcel of land for a use classification totally different from that of the surrounding area for the benefit of the owner of such property and to the detriment of other owners. This project is in Farmington's growth area, and this area will be annexed into Farmington in the future. This CUP will impede the normal and orderly development as stated in criteria G of your CUP application. Here are some facts about Bethel Blacktop. It is 21 to 22 feet wide. There are no shoulders on either side of the road. There are no turning lanes. There are deep ditches running along the sides of the road. The speed limit is supposed to be 45 miles per hour. Hardly anyone does 45 except for the school bus. I know this, I'm out there every day getting 6 grandkids off the school bus. Traffic on Bethel Blacktop has increased greatly, which includes 18-wheelers, dump trucks, chicken trucks, and regular traffic that use Bethel as an alternative route coming from Oklahoma and Lincoln to Farmington instead of using 62. 3 years ago, we were here before the Quorum Court. They were wanting to put an athletic facility on Bethel Blacktop. The Quorum Court denied it because of the traffic situation that we have out there. There are 2 new subdivisions that are being built across the street and around the corner from the proposed project, which will add more cars to Bethel. These are subdivision projects that comply with the county zoning of 1 house per acre. The Martin Barn venue will increase the traffic congestion with multiple cars turning into the private narrow gravel driveway. The probability of accidents will increase. Bethel Blacktop is not adequate for commercial use. This project would change the residential country feel of the area. It would change the primary goal of retaining the rural characteristics of Washington County. In conclusion, the project site should stay agricultural or residential in compliance with county zoning. This project should be in a properly zoned commercial area with adequate parking and roads for the safety of the children and adults who would use this facility. That ends my comments. I would like to be able to give you my husband's comments. He can't be here. He's just getting over COVID, and he cannot be here. He is a registered land surveyor here in Northwest Arkansas more than 40 years, and he has researched the deeds on this property. He has spent several hours looking at it, and if you don't mind, it'll take less than a minute to read what he has. I have his comments and a site map if you want that.
Okay.
Brian, would you give this to everybody, please? Thank you. So if you can pretend he's here, he's 73, he's got a, gray beard and everything, okay? So kind of have this image in your mind of an old surveyor. My name is Elle Harris, and I live at 12688 Bethel Blacktop Road in Farmington. I am not able to attend the County and Planning Commission meeting to speak in person against a conditional use permit for the Martin Barn venue, but I'd like to share my thoughts on the project. I am a professional land surveyor with over 40 years' experience surveying in Northwest Arkansas, and am a former designated representative with the Health Department. I would like to address the private driveway serving the Martin property that extends from Bethel Blacktop Road north to the southwest corner of the Martin's property as shown in yellow on the attached aerial site location. I have researched the deeds and found that the driveway is contained within a 30-wide easement for ingress and egress purposes that is located on the west 30 feet of the Longs and Patterson's properties. Currently, the driveway within the easement is gravel and wide enough for only 1 car to pass and has been maintained primarily by the Long family. The definition of an easement for ingress and egress is the right to travel across someone else's property in order to access your own property, which is the case for this project site. I've been to court a few times as a land surveyor to observe or participate in land disputes that included easements in question. And the one thing that I've learned from listening to the judges overseeing the trials is that they want to know what the intent was when the easement was first created. From the deeds, it appears that this 30-foot wide easement, driveway easement, was created between Kevin and Rhonda Benish and Dana and Carla Long in 1987. The 2 families are related and were building homes adjacent to each other, and their deeds contain wording for a 30-foot wide easement to allow both families access to Bethel Blacktop Road along a common drive. The Benish family built the home currently occupied by the Martins. The easement was intended to be used for individual homes and not for commercial buildings or additional tract splits. I think that this project site should remain as agricultural resident zoning and needs to be located in a properly zoned commercial area with adequate road access, adequate drainage, and a paved roadway surface. Thank you. His license number is 931 if you need to confirm that. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to speak to this part? You'll state your name and address, please, sir.
Good evening. My name is Patrick McCullough, 12567 Bethel Oaks Drive. I am the current POA president for Bethel Oak subdivision, 68 homes adjacent to this property. I have a list here. Some of my neighbors, 18 of us, got together and signed a petition against this. I don't want to repeat a lot of other stuff. The ingress, egress, the alcohol is a big concern to me. There's 68 homes in this neighborhood, many with children. A lot of people already cut through our street from Jimmy DeVault to County Road 62. With added traffic and people unfamiliar with the area, there's going to be even more drive-through traffic with my subdivision. Children's safety is a major concern. That intersection of Bethel Blacktop and Little Elm, obviously everybody knows it's a lot of traffic. It's very dangerous. There's been fatalities there as well. When you mix alcohol and there's nowhere for these people to stay, they're going to get on the road. The accidents are going to happen. Not to mention, to turn out of their drive or into it, there's a concrete apron before you hit the gravel, but there's also a 2-foot drop. So anybody, there's no guardrails. 2 cars, one's trying to leave, one's trying to come in the property. Somebody's going to end up in the ditch, either leaving or coming into the property. It's just really not compatible with the existing land use right now. I bought my house about a year ago, just over a year. I bought it for the view. I bought it because Martha DeVault's property directly behind mine, and the Martins are across from that. And when I look out my back window, all I can see is the Martins' barn and Martha DeVault's pasture land. The noise, the parties haven't always ended at 10. The noise it's been annoying, and I've never made a complaint because I was trying to be a good neighbor, and it was known it was family and friends next door. Well, I don't want to be inconvenienced for them to make money. I don't want to have to listen. I don't want to lay in bed and listen to their music, which has happened in the past 10 o'clock. People hooping and hollering, music. The elevation of my home sits higher than their home. I don't have a privacy fence. Even if I did, it wouldn't block my view from their house, and they can see right up on my back deck. This is not a compatible use for a residential area. They state that it won't be, the busy times are Friday evening, Saturday evening, Sunday. I'm a landscaper by trade. I chose that profession. I love to be outdoors. I love to be outside in my own yard. Am I going to have to schedule with them when I want to have a barbecue? When I want to have a family and friends? It's great that they've been able to do it for 20 years. I would like the chance to do that for myself for 20 years.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up. Thanks for
your time.
You bet. Anyone else?
My name is Peggy Patterson, and I live at 13042 Bethel Blacktop Road. We live on the corner of Shetland and Blacktop. And again, our real problem is the dust that comes from that gravel road. Now, we've lived there 9 years, and they said that the Longs and the Martins are the ones that maintain that road. Mr. Martin will come out with gravel and fill a little hole up. But we have, along with Mr. Phillips and Mr. Long, been the ones that put that road down right after we moved there. We completely had it re-gravelled. And we've done it again since then with Mr. Phillips. Mr. Martin or Mr. and Mrs. Martin have not contributed 1 penny to that road, and they're the ones that get the most use out of it because they're the ones with the most traffic. They do have parties, and we try not to complain with the dust, but it's affected my health enough that I have trouble going outside of my own yard to plant flowers or pull weeds. So it's real irritating, and it's gotten heavier the last year and a half that I've not been able to be out in my yard this last summer. The sinus infections and the allergies have just been awful from the dust. We also have a problem with the noise. We don't have a problem with the light because they've built a hedge system next to their land that's pretty full in the summer that kind of helps block that. But the children on that backside where it's a neighborhood, those kids go to school. That music is keeping them up past bedtime. And they say it doesn't bother anybody, but it does. We've just not gone down there and complained to them. My husband's talked to him about the dust, but they don't plan to do anything about that road. They're not going to pave it or blacktop it. So if you approve this, is the county going to do that? Yes or no?
Roads are not our issue, ma'am. That's with the county. We're just the planning board, just listening.
Okay,
to this
but you
particular
plan
part.
that stuff.
But
Do you
the
plan
county-
road coverage?
Not us.
No,
Not us.
not
no.
you.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I think it's wrong to have a 3-acre property or a 2.5-acre property and not even be able to get the enjoyment out of it after we've spent years working to retire to that kind of situation and then turn around to have somebody party, not just occasionally, which they used to do. They've had nice parties there. But to do it commercially, I think is really imposing upon the neighbors that they have. The neighbors that she thinks are for them have come to us after they talked to them and said they're not for it, they're on our side. So I'd like to see the petition that we all signed.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Y'all certainly have a hard job. My name is Robert Dennis. My address is 10964 North Highway 170, Prairie Grove, Arkansas, 72753. I've lived in the community. Everybody's telling about how long I wanted to hide it, but anyway, 71 years in a couple of weeks. So I do know the area, know it well, but I'm a property rights person. I want you to be able to do everything in the county that you can, but at the same time, we have rules, and if you deviate from those rules, then you set the precedent for other people to say, well, you did it for them, so why do you not do it for me? I had a similar situation. City of Farmington went before them, and I asked for a 45-foot right-of-way, and they denied it. They said, you've got to have 65 foot. And a similar situation, just a private drive. And they said, 65 foot or nothing. And I said, okay, I don't have a problem with it. So, you know, if the rule is a rule, then if you make the law, if you pass something, then you set it up for the next people to say, you did it for them, so do it for me. And so that's one thing to just kind of be aware of, because it is just 30 feet, and it's a tight 30 feet. And where they're proposing to have the hedge right there where the seats sit, the parking lot is behind the seats, and the Long's house is right there where that wall is. So if you want a perspective, there it is. I went out and looked. I took pictures, but there's no way to share them with you right now anyway. So the drive is not wide enough for 2 cars to pass. Okay, so if the wedding venue or the Long's house catches on fire, and it happens to be when a party's ending or beginning, how do you get a fire truck in there? And how do you get the fire truck in on a tight, I mean, it's tight. You know, if you're pulling in it, you better be in a van, is what I was in. You have to pay attention or you'll run off that drop. And the gentleman behind me said it was 2 foot. I wouldn't want him for a referee because I'd say it's more like 3 feet. And so it's pretty deep on both sides. And so I don't see how a fire truck or how the fire marshal could even approve this because it's not wide enough for entrance. So keep in mind, you don't have the width for the 2 cars. You don't have the width for a fire truck. You've got people coming in from the Longs or going out from the Longs, and people coming in for a wedding. People are just people. They'll drive off in the yard and use the yard to park in and things like that. I mean, people, you can tell them where they're supposed to park, but trust me, I do know this. They will park where they want to park. So it is going to infringe on the Longs a tremendous amount, and I don't mind them having a wedding venue. That's not my point. my point is, you gotta have the rule for everyone the same. And so, I know it's a tough job, and I don't admire you for it, but thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Hey, and I'm going to echo the sentiments right back at you. You've got a harder job than we do. Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. JP.
My name is Carla Long. I live at 12492 Shetland Road. My husband and I are adamantly opposed to this permit. We live on the property that adjoins the Martins directly south. I am speaking for myself, also for two neighbors that also border their land that were unable to be here this evening. The only entrance for their paying customers is driving on our private property using the private narrow gravel driveway that we personally built 35 years ago. To my knowledge, the Martins have never put a full load of gravel, though they have filled in some potholes very rarely. Ms. Martin reminded me last week that we have no say in their right to host unlimited events, which they will continue to do, whether this passes or not. She was just trying to make it legal. We are only asking you to help us keep them from adding unlimited paid events at unlimited times per day, every day of the week from 8 a.m. till 9 or 10 p.m. at night. I'm addressing mainly criteria 6 or F. My concerns are not limited, but will focus on maintenance of the driveway and the grass adjacent to it, where the gravel is thrown by traffic and we walk that and put it back in the road. The responsibility of the dust, the widening of the driveway or asphalting it, so that heavy food trailers or even emergency vehicles can pass safely. I also have a question as to why it's saying that they're only asking for 0.85 acres when they've always used much more than that. They have 3.3 acres. Why does it only include one of the parking areas that they have on the map? And why is the grassy area that they've always used and will continue to use not in that 0.85 acres? Does saying that it's less than 1 acre reduce the requirements? And who's going to monitor how much of that land that they use? Who's going to monitor the number of guests that they have? They said 50, but I'm not going to be out there counting, and I don't think any of you are either, and they've had several events with more than that amount of guests. They sent a letter to all of us after we got the letters saying they were going for this, saying family is everything. But does that include the families of their neighbors? Because commercializing this venue will negatively impact our families and be injurious to the use and enjoyment of it for the purposes we purchased our homes for. It would also decrease the property values of everyone in the area except the Martins. When they are entertaining, the music starts early when they start setting up. And we have not complained. However, they've never asked us if the music or the traffic bothers us. We are aware of only one event that they have advertised and charged for, and we didn't complain because we're desperately trying to be good neighbors. The music does interrupt outside conversation and visiting. The pounding bass notes are relentless even when we're inside our home. They also told us that the music would stop at 10, but that is not what time the guests would be required to leave, that there is an extended cleanup time after that that would be way past the 10 o'clock. Well, they said past 10 o'clock, probably an hour or so. Our county officers are very busy. We have not called and complained. We do not want, please do not force us to resort to complaining to our county officers to come out there to resolve this type of issues. This area does have drainage areas. I've sent you a PowerPoint showing some pictures of the ponds that come in our yard every time it rains. I know that the Martins have had a vehicle stuck in their front yard that they had to get a tow truck to come pull out, and the company had to bring other people out later to fill in all the ruts in their yard. And we do have ruts and potholes from all the extended traffic. In conclusion, would you want this type of events that are located next door to you, literally from me to you? I mean, our property lines adjoin each other. Or would you rather it be in a location that's appropriate and has adequate roads to ensure the safety and welfare of the children and families who live there? I respectfully request that you deny this permit and protect all of the neighbors from its detrimental effects to our families and our property. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I also do have a letter from my State Farm agent talking about the liability because they are driving on our property. It is an easement across our property, but if there's an accident, there's no fence between our properties, if they step in a hole on our side or are injured, there is liability. I know the Martins have talked about getting the people to sign liability so it doesn't hurt them, but I don't know how we're gonna get protected from liability if someone gets hurt on our property.
Got you. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. State your name and address, please, sir.
Jared Martin, 71 White Street. I just want to express my full support of the Martin Barn venue, the Martin CUP. A few things I'd like to address is privacy. Don't want to be too repetitive here, but all four sides are lined with bushes. The majority of those are fully grown, up to 15 feet, planted in 2007. So these are mature. I also wanted to make a note that if you are entering from the south and we're in spring or summer, you can't even see the barn. So it is a very excluded parcel that we're talking about here. I know there is road concern. I guess there's some confusion on who's contributed to the road, but me as a high school student, remember my entire time living there from 2001 to 2014, have helped with my family fill these potholes, but it was substantial amounts of gravel. But us and the Longs have both contributed to that. I know that the intentions of the easement was not for anything other than these private properties, but regardless, the easement is in place, and that's something that we can work with because even though currently only 10 feet of the easement is gravelled, we still have access to another 20 feet to pass the other vehicle safely. And as the previous speaker mentioned, Bethel Blacktop, for example, is 22.5 feet. So just to give you guys an idea of a 30-foot wide easement. Regarding the size of the events, I think it's just important to keep in mind that there would be a maximum of 50 guests, So what this kind of falls into, and based off of the events that we've thrown in the past, nonprofit just for family gatherings, is baby showers, wedding showers. I would have my football and basketball teams over to watch film, play in the yard, bonding activities. These are not large-scale activities, even though the barn is aesthetically upscale in features. Lastly, I'd like to address some of the complaints. Again, my parents have hosted these events for the last 20 years, and there's been no complaints submitted both formally or informally. And I can understand with the neighbors we've known for a long time, doing the good neighbor thing, not raising any complaints, but we've sent the notification out 300 feet outside of the barn. And in all of those years, there's never been a complaint from anyone. So just wanted to make a note of that. Appreciate y'all's time, and appreciate y'all taking the time to consider this potential opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Wesley Long, 12567 Page Lane, Farmington. I grew up at 12492 Shetland Road, my parents' property there for 35 years. So the Martins have been absolutely exceptional neighbors. They're great people. The only concern that we have is a commercial event property amongst residential properties. Also, there is, the Patterson's property is fenced on one side, and the other property is fenced on the other side. So that road is 10 feet, but for a majority, or for probably a third of that road, there is a fence 5 or 6 feet, probably on each side. So for a third of that driveway, there is not enough room for 2 vehicles to pass. My dad actually built the culvert out of steel drums. That is the driveway going in. Like I said, it's about 3.5 feet off each side. Whenever you go to turn in, like I said, you have to really know what you're doing. I know my parents have actually dropped off that growing up there. We've dropped tires off of that before, and especially pulling a trailer, it's almost impossible. Today, I had to get 2 attempts at it to get in there with the trailer. I don't think there's any way a fire truck would be able to make it in there. Just concerned. Also, like I said, the property is very water retaining. So whenever it rains, it may be 2 weeks before you can mow the grass. So my concern is, I actually mow my parents' yard a lot. So where there is room to pass, if they go into my parents' yard, you will bury up. We grew up there. I've buried up in it several times. I've had my four-wheel drive truck stuck in the yard several times. So just concerns about the weather permitting. As soon as the cars try to pass around, there will be big ruts where you have to mow, and also vehicles getting stuck. Just that's my concerns there. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Frank Sprick. Address is 1321 South Apollo Drive, Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I am the Martin's son-in-law. And we actually got married on that property. That's part of the reason why the barn was built. For our event, it seems to be a common theme, the traffic in and out. Understandably so. Bethel Blacktop is narrow, as several others have stated. We were able to get in a food truck for catering. We were also able to get in and out safely. A bathroom. It had 3 stalls in it, I believe. So they were able to maneuver Shetland Road. I also, from an outsider of the family, coming in, getting to see what they can provide for other people in the community, I think that's been the biggest thing for me. I understand, all the worries from the neighbors. I would say that the latest that we have had a party go was our wedding. That was October of 2020. And really, after that, everything's been shut down at those hours. Obviously, we would respect the neighbors, keep it under time. And I just am here to support that. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, thank you guys for your time. My name's Billy Carter. I live at 13086 Bethel Blacktop Road. I received your notice about this. There is one house between me and the Martins, and I can see the barn venue. I can see it. One thing I'll say about the Martins, they're very family oriented. They're great people. My kids graduated with their kids. They're just great people. The Longs are great people. Everybody over there, they're all good people. I just have a difference of agreement with the Martins on this issue. This is not a place to make money. They have large family gatherings and friends. I do the same thing. Thanksgiving, Christmas, during the summer, we have our family over. I have a big family. We love the get-togethers. I have as many people as they have, not at the wedding, but as many people over as they do. But I don't make any money on it, and I don't think any commercial business out there is appropriate. It's a 10-foot driveway, have to cross 2 people's property to get there. I understand the ingress and egress. We're going to be annexed into Farmington shortly. The next time they annex, they're coming after us. Mayor Penn told me personally that that's what was going to happen. He's against this. You guys got the information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else?
How are you doing? My name is Danny Long. I live at 12492 Shetland Road, Farmington, directly south. My wife spoke earlier. I personally built that driveway. I personally built the cement pillar that we cross. I hauled approximately 40 loads of gravel in just for that driveway to the Martin's house and mine. It was never intended to be used for commercial use. It goes across, I allowed the deeded property, my brother-in-law, actually late brother-in-law, purchased the total amount of property, like 20 acres. I purchased 2.5 acres from him. He kept the back 3.5, or 3.3. We agreed I would give him easement across me. He would give me easement across him, which is now the Patterson's property. So we would have access to our properties with the full intentions that we would never move. We would be there for life. And things change in our lives. We all know that. But it was never intended for anything else. My grandkids play in that road, and it scares me to death. You know, it's the fact that one time is all it takes for an accident. And I don't want to be the one. If it takes me selling my house and moving, we will do so to keep that from happening. Because we built this place, like I said, 35 years ago with the full intentions of staying there. And, you know, like I say, things change, and I understand that. And the Martins came to us, or came to my wife, did not come to me, came to my wife and told her that they were building this building for their daughter to be married in. It was never going to be intended for the use of commercial use. And so as a neighbor, we do not complain because it's family. But when it goes into commercial use and you rent it to someone else, they have the intentions of, hey, I paid for this, I get full use of it. And coming through my driveway or through my yard to get to it, the people won't care. There's no question about it. They will not care because they paid for that. Where if it's a family member, the Martins family, they're going to respect it more. But when it's someone that's coming in as a commercial venue, I just feel like that it's a total different ballgame then. But I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right. I'll take it one more time back to Ms. Martin, if you have anything you want to say before I take it to the board. So if you'll come back up.
I've been writing notes. I'm a note taker. Okay, I just wanted to address some of the new issues that they've been discussing. And also, the parking lot is adjacent to the barn. It's 10,600 square feet. A small portion of that area that parks about 10 cars is gravel, but we are intending to gravel the whole area that sits adjacent to the barn. Ms. Long did mention where we have the parking, the additional parking that is across from her house. But now that the health department has been in Linda Mayo, the property perk, so she's submitting that to the health department. We're going to move that down some, but also we have measured in front of the property that there is a large enough area, 10,000 square feet there also, that we can use, that we intend on graveling that area too. Addressing the vehicle that did get stuck in our yard in 2015, it was a very large semi-Hanks delivery truck. And it was pouring rain for weeks, and we asked them to stay on the gravel to go around, but he didn't, and he went into the yard, and we did have the large fire trucks come out on the gravel and get them out of there. So we have had the very large fire trucks come out on our property. And unfortunately, another time back in 2005, I was helping my husband with a burn pile, thinking I could help him, and I caught the yard on fire a little bit. But they came out also to help me out. And so they have been out there actually twice with the large fire trucks on that property. Also, when our daughter did get married, we did have intense trucks out there. We had light works. They're those giant, the same size trucks, come out easily in and off of the property. When we did build the barn, we did have the gravel trucks and the dirt trucks, and one day we had 17 gravel trucks come out to dump dirt to do the foundation of, and we never heard that there was an issue from those contractors that they were falling off the drive. One other thing that I would like to bring up, and let me make sure, like I said, the Longs and our family have been maintaining the road. And I did take out several receipts, and I left them on my desk of who we have used McClinton Anchor on the truckloads that we have had come out to dump the gravel, and we've never complained. We've actually gone down their personal driveway to fill in their holes too, because everybody's good neighbors out there, and everybody's been friendly, I should say. Also, I would like to offer a revised addendum to the letter of intent.
I'm going to ask you to.
Give a minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, go ahead and finish, but I'd like you to.
Okay, great. Okay, after considering the concerns and the voices of our neighbors within 300 feet of our property, we will do the following. We will be open for business to view the barn by appointment only. We will be closed for business on Tuesdays for any potential client. We will have amplified music in the barn only. We will continue to gravel and maintain Shetland Road. And with good faith intentions, we will, working with our neighbors at 12492 Shetland Road, Danny and Carla Long, we would like to extend the apron of the entrance to Shetland Road off Bethel Blacktop Road to be a wider access/exit to accommodate the 30-foot easement for Shetland Road.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. It's to the board then. Brian, anything with the easement on that road, changing what we're doing from hosting parties to going to a commercial app or?
So it sounds to me like this is like a private easement. This isn't a county road.
Right.
And so as far as an easement is concerned, that's a civil matter between the parties. But I know that I heard they said they were going to widen the apron where it comes onto the county road. Anytime you get into the county road right of way, you have to have a permit, but that's a separate issue that doesn't need to be considered. So.
Okay, and then one other question, in reference to fire, and that the county doesn't have, do they have regulations like the city does that if it's so many square feet, one entrance, sprinkled, things like that?
The county, the state fire code prevails, and so, it's state law, so the county doesn't have anything in addition to, everybody has to, just like anything anybody does, it has to meet the state fire code.
Okay. That's all the questions I had.
Yeah, if you don't mind, may I add some of the conditions like the planning had, for some of the extra conditions, like the utility conditions. One of them is all off-site easement that are needed for utility services to be to the property, or the properties must be obtained by the developer, and the easement documentation may be required by the utility company. Another one is all on-site easements must be shown on the plat and recorded with the county. For the fire safety conditions, the project will need to be constructed and developed by the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code. And the code search and adherence will be responsibility of the owner or their designee, like an architect or an engineer. For the sewer and septic condition, the applicant should contact the Department of Health and adhere to the regulation on septic sewer systems. And for the environmental conditions, no stormwater permit is required by Washington County at this time. However, applicant must comply with all rules and regulations of the Arkansas Department of Environment and Quality. For the road conditions, a permit from the Washington County Road Department or the Arkansas Department of Transportation may be required prior to any work being completed in the right-of-way. And the connections from the handicap parking to the building entrance must be an ADA compliant.
All right, thanks, Sam. Anybody got anything else? All right, then it's to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Martin Barn venue conditional use permit with staff recommendations.
We got a motion on the board or on the floor. Do I have a second? All right, without a second, that motion is denied. Do I have another motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we not approve this project.
So I've got a motion to deny.
I'll second that motion.
I've got a second. Sam, do roll call, please.
Sure. Joel Kelsey,
No.
Philip Humbard,
Yes.
Neil Helm,
Are we moving to deny?
Yes.
yes.
Then no. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'm confused now.
All right.
I move that we approve the motion, yes.
No, your motion was to deny
To
it.
deny it, so,
Second was by Lisa.
Okay, then I'm a no.
all right. So Neil Helm is no.
Yes.
Lisa Miller,
Yes.
Lauren Shackelford,
Yes.
that's it,
All right, so the motion is denied 3-2.
yes.
And there's an appeal available. I'm being confused tonight, right? They can appeal that to the,
I don't guess I understand what the motion was. I mean,
the motion was to deny it. Instead of us voting for the approval, I didn't get a second.
right,
So that motion goes away. So the new motion was to deny the project,
okay,
and it was denied 3-2.
okay. That's fine. I would say in the future, I would not, you kind of get into these double negatives on your motion to deny and a yes and a no. So technically speaking, if there's not a motion to approve, then it's effectively denied.
Denied.
Yeah,
Yes.
denied.
It's denied.
This will not move on unless it's appealed directly to the quorum court.
You understand that? That's y'all's option, is to appeal to the quorum court if you want to. No, it's the applicants. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I should have just seconded the
Yeah, that's okay.
motion and
Yeah,
then
I
we should
was
have gone
getting
on.
confused
Yeah.
there. All right, so we understand? Do I need more clarification? Sorry, I'm a little there. Motion's denied. If you want to appeal, you can appeal to the quorum court. Okay? All right, there. It's been a long week, sorry. It's all right.
Make a second, then vote against the motion.
Thank you all for everything.
Yes. All right, Sam, let's proceed. We're going to go county premier storage CUP.
Premier Storage Conditional Use Permit. The applicant is requesting conditional use permit approval to develop and operate a self-storage facility. The zoning is for agricultural and single-family residential uses with a maximum density of 1 residential unit per acre. The project parcel is not in the planning area. The proposal is located along the south side of East Highway 412 and is accessible from Lake Wade, Washington County, 390 Road. Sorry about that. The applicant is proposing a total of 6 storage buildings to be built in 3 phases, with 2 buildings per phase. The applicant does not have a phasing schedule as each phase is dependent upon the prior with regards to market conditions. The applicant is asking approval for all 3 of those stages. The self-storage facility entrance will be from Lake Wade Road, Washington County 390. The access is a 2-lane paved road that transitions to an unpaved road. The applicant states that they will not provide restrooms and therefore will not need a septic system. The applicant does not intend to have water at the property, but however, will utilize electricity. There are no nearby fire hydrants, but the Nob Hill Fire Department states they will provide tanker support if needed. The existing conditions. Once again, the project property is zoned as agricultural single-family residential unit. Is it in an area? It's in an area that it's mixed with agricultural and residential uses. The parcel is currently vacant. If the project is approved, the zoning will stay the same, but with conditional use allowance. Notification were sent by certified letters to all adjoining property owners within 300 feet. To date, staff has not received comments in favor, but has received many in opposition. Are we doing good? No? No comment against? All right. So we'll change this like we haven't received anything in favor or against. Recommendation conditions. Staff has reviewed the submitted documents and feels the project can be made compatible with the following conditions. Of course, the utility and like the safety and the sewer and all of that. The planning conditions are the applicant must address all technical review comments as the project proceeds through to completion. The conditional use permit is only for a storage facility. Any other non-conforming uses must have conditional permitting. The applicant utilizes an easement to access their property. The applicant should work with the servient landowner to upgrade and/or maintain the driveway as an additional traffic to and from the proposed venue site may cause extra wear and tear on the existing driveway. Back to the board.
The actual entrance to the storage is off the county road, correct? There is no entrance coming off 412?
So.
Okay, all right. All right, any other questions? Is the applicant here? Would they like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brandon Resch, ESI, on behalf. The owner is also here as well to answer any questions.
Okay, you got any questions? Good, good. Simple. All right, is there anybody in the audience that would like to, for public comment, like to address this particular project? All right, to the board.
I make a motion that we accept.
Okay, I've got a motion to approve the Premier Storage CUP.
I'll second.
Got a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Land development hearings, county, item G, Premier Storage, pre-LSD.
So it's basically the same presentation, but for the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit. Requesting a preliminary large-scale development for a self-storage facility is going to be the same thing. The proposed parcel is not in the planning area. The proposal is located along the south side of East Highway 412 and accessible from Lake Wade, Washington County 390. The applicant is proposing a total of 6 storage and 3 different phases. Each phase is dependent on the market conditions, but he is requesting approval for all of the 3 stages. And the same conditions applies from the CUP to the pre-LSD.
Anybody got any questions?
I got a question for Brian. So applicant is requesting approval for all 3 phases, phasing in based on economic conditions. If we approve this LSD, is there a time frame on it, and if so, when would it expire?
There is a time frame on it, and do either of you know off the top of your head? It's usually, I want to say it's either 12 months or 18 months.
I believe it's 18 months.
18 months. I was
so.
thinking 18 months initially, so that's.
So as proposed, the completion of the final phase would have to be done within that time period. Is that correct?
Correct. Now, they can, if requested, can get 2 90-day extensions through the planning director, as long as they request that prior to the expiration of the time.
Is the applicant aware that this large-scale development approval is good for 18 months? At that time, all 3 phases would have to be completed, or you're going to have to come back through the process again?
Yes, if you don't mind. State your name and address, please, sir.
Ben Byler, 155 Summerhill Drive. This is Swanning in Huntsville. I was not aware of that. It's kind of murky looking at the website and everything. And in talking to CETA, I was given the impression that I would have, 18 months or so per phase to get that done. That may have been incorrect. So I guess the answer is no. I was not aware of that. And I guess we're sure on that.
Yeah, we're sure on that. I would say, it has the same effect. You have 18 months to complete the whole thing, or you'll have to come back and say, okay, I would like to start phase 2. And say, you can state and remind the board that you were, and planning will too, that you were approved for all 3 phases. You just didn't get them done, and so you're basically just coming back to say, hey, can I have another 18 months? But you typically do have that 18-month period for whatever is approved. So, I guess I say that to let you know that I don't think it really matters if you divide this up into phase 1, 2, or 3, because you're going to be going through the same process. So even if we were just approving, or the board was just approving phase 1, at the end of phase 1, you'd have to come back for phase 2. And you can see there's another one on here, King's Ransom RV, that they're in phase 1. They'll have to come back for phase 2. So I don't think it has really any effect on this, but just so that you do know, anything that doesn't occur within that 18 months, you'll have to come back for. And it's not for a CUP, it's just for the large scale, so it's not anything that goes to quorum court or anything like that. It's just the board that has to approve that.
Okay, so the CUP would be good for all 6 buildings, just the large scale. Okay, that's probably where my confusion was.
You understand what he's saying, Ben?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. 18 months to complete all 3.
So what happens
if you're not done before that 18 months, then you've got to come back to the planning department and file for an extension.
Okay.
And then
and if I'm not done even in the extension, because 6 buildings is a lot for 18 months. It just is. And I'd love if they were if I needed them, but it's unlikely, honestly. But if I get to 18 months, I'm not ready for more, I just have to come back for another large-scale development permit.
That is right, when you get ready to continue. Yep.
Or technically, if you get the 2 90 days, you've got 2 years. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I've seen that become an issue.
Yeah.
In my day job, I've seen that become an issue. I want to make sure you're aware.
Good point.
Yeah, well, thank you.
All right. Okay, to the board then.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion for recommendation of approval of large-scale development as proposed.
Got a motion?
I'll second the motion.
Got a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, there you go. All right, county, item H, replat lots 49, 52, and 53, Tony Mountain subdivision.
Absolutely. Replat lots 49, 52, and 53 Tony Mountain subdivision. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision replat to combine 5 lots within the Tony Mountain subdivision into one large lot. The zoning is for agricultural and single-family residential uses with a maximum density of 1 residential unit per acre. The project is not in a planning area. So the overall, like 5, when they all combine, the proposed lot 9A is going to be 20.63 acres. Neighbors has been notified, and within like 100 feet, all like received certified letters. To date, staff has not received comments in favor or in opposition to this project. Conditions. Staff has reviewed the submitted documents and recommends the following conditions. The planning conditions only. The applicant must address all technical review comments as the proposed proceeds through the completion. Per section 11-102, vehicular access from private drive. A, no land development, including those subject to exemption as set out in Washington County Code 11-79, shall be approved if any anticipated structures driveway shall be so arranged such that it is necessary for a vehicle to back out into the county or public road. B, every owner or developer of any such land development shall certify that no driveways shall be constructed in violation of this section, and such shall be noted on any plat or exemption application. C, no structure or driveway, regardless as to whether it is part of a land development, shall be built, installed, or erected in such a manner that it will be necessary for any vehicle to back out into any county or public road. D, this section shall not be applicable to interior roads in a land development. Back to the board.
Any questions on this with Sam? All right, is the applicant here? Would he like to say anything?
Ricky Hill with Satterfield Land Surveyors, agent for Mr. Ellis. Just want to make sure that we, and I don't know, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Received the documents where we've addressed all the latest technical review comments, and everything is on there so that there's not any issues, that we don't have everything that's not been addressed on this site for him.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thanks, sir. Anybody in the audience want to comment on this? Yes, sir. You'll come up to the microphone, state your name and address, please, sir.
Benjamin Clark, 11205 Shadow Lane. I think I bordered this property on its east side. I was unfamiliar with what was happening. I got the letter. I didn't send any emails or anything, but my concern was not that there's a whole lot of fence left there, but you can kind of see where perhaps it was an informal surveying that went through and they hung tags. And I have no doubt that that's where the survey line belongs, but I was just, looking it over and thinking, well, if we put a fence adequate to hold any livestock in, the fence is going to go right down the drainage. So in other words, if you put posts and what have you in the ground, you're just driving into rock. So I think that might have motivated the initial shift in the fence west, which essentially would have given me 50 more feet or so where the fence goes. And, you know, I don't have livestock and they don't have livestock, but in the future, if you did, that would be kind of an issue, so. And I don't know how they handle it, but, so.
Got you. Thank you, sir.
guys.
Anyone else? To the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the replat of lots 49, 52, and 53 of the Tony Mountain subdivision.
Got a motion?
I'll second the motion.
Got a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, here you go. All right, moving on to Fayetteville Planning Area, item I, Salem Storage Expansion pre-LSD.
Item I, Salem Storage Expansion Preliminary Large-Scale Development. The applicant, Blue and Associates, is requesting preliminary large-scale development approval to allow for a 10,725 square feet mini storage building addition. The facility will be located at 3519 North Salem Road, northwest of Fayetteville. New building will not require water or sewage services. Traffic impact is insignificant. Developer will work with the utility companies to provide any easement required. SWIPCO, the electric company, is to provide electrical to the site. Stormwater flows into an existing detention pond. Access to the site will be provided along North Salem Road. Neighbors' comments and concerns. Notification were sent by certified letters to all adjoining property owners within 300 feet. To date, staff has not received comments in favor or in opposition to this project. Recommendation and conditions. Staff have reviewed the submitted documents and recommends the following conditions. The planning conditions. The applicant must address all technical review comments as the project proceeds through to completion. If this preliminary large-scale development is approved, the applicant must apply for a final large-scale development approval once construction is completed, in addition to all the standard conditions for all approvals, of course.
Any questions for Sam? All right, applicant here want to speak? Yeah, he's had a long night, like we have.
We got one after this, so.
I know, I saw that.
George Duquesne, Balloon Associates. This one is actually pretty straightforward. We're adding a building to an existing, storage complex. We are staying out of the septic system, and it's kind of internal to the site, so it's not along any fence lines or anything like that. There is some visibility from the street, but again, it's internal to the site. It's kind of centered behind the office building. If you have any questions, I am here, and the developer is also present. Do you have questions?
Yeah.
Okay, just, and I'm familiar with the property. This is interior. Any additional parking being created, any additional lighting being created, any additional things like that that we need to know about?
I think they do some wall packs on the inside for security purposes.
Okay.
We're not adding any parking except for what you might use for the units themselves.
Yep. Okay.
And I mean, so we're not really, we're adding maybe like 10 square feet of asphalt, but only because there's a gap between the building and an existing driveway. But other than that, no, we're not.
What's the percentage of increase for overall units?
I did not do a unit count, so that might be a question for the developer. He may not know either, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's around, there's probably 490 units now, and this would probably be 10,700 square foot building, might be an additional 75 to 85 max in there.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm going to say it into the microphone just so it's on the record. So 75 unit addition and 490 existing.
Thank you.
got some pictures. My name is Maury Witter, and I live at 3479 West Salem Road. So this storage unit is on the corner of West Salem Road and North Salem Road. And I live directly across the street of West Salem Road. So when I stand in my front yard, I look out and see this facility. I purchased the land that I built my home on 6 years ago. And the storage unit was already there when I bought my land and built my house. So I'm not actually opposing the storage unit, it was there first. I just wanted to let you know kind of the surrounding area. 360 degrees around this is all residential property. The nearest commercial property is probably 2 miles away. And this was approved, from my understanding, before the zoning codes were in, and they approved this and got it built. So my concern is they keep adding things. If you see in the pictures, they are loading this thing up with U-Hauls. You know, I mean, a storage facility is one thing. You know, filling all the green space, they have U-Haul trailers stored between the units. If you look at number 7, there's 30 trailers that are stored between units. That's the last picture. You look at number 6, that's what the view is from North Salem Road. If you look at 5, that's North Salem Road. They are in the U-Haul business. This is not a storage business. This is a U-Haul business. If you look at picture number 4, there's boats, trailers, there's 2 homes there. This property is surrounded 360 degrees residential. Like I said, there's not a commercial piece of property within 2 miles of this. They recently added a beauty shop inside this storage facility. Where does this stop? You know, are they going to put a dispensary in there? Or are they going to, I mean, how do you add a beauty shop inside of a storage facility? How do you add a U-Haul rental and storage inside of a storage facility? You know, where does this stop? And I tell the developer, shame on you. Shame on you. I'm all for development, and shame on you that you're trying to do this. You need to take care of your place. Fix your fence, take care of your place. But anyway.
You need to address that.
Yeah, but that's just you can see there's stuff everywhere. They've got every ounce of green grass, blacktop full of junk. They'll rent anything. There's a beauty shop in there. You know, it's not meant for that. So anyway, I'm sorry for just, like I said, the unit, this place was there when I built my home 6 years ago, and they just keep piling it in there. And I'm not sure can you have a U-Haul rental and storage inside of a storage facility? Can you have a beauty shop in there? I don't know. Do you guys know that?
I don't know. That's a question to be asked, sir.
Okay. And then drainage, there is a retention pond on here. West Salem Road is where this drains to, which is my street. The water will be 2 feet deep in a heavy rain. It's impassable. So the water drainage is an issue. And the other thing is I'll
need you to ask you to hurry up and wrap it up, sir.
Okay.
We're past 3 minutes.
The study they did on the traffic study was for Highway 45. They've used that same traffic study on the project out there at the lake. They're using the same traffic study for here on Highway 45. I don't understand that part.
Sir, you need to.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
Try to make this short and sweet. My name is Ross Odom. I live directly across the street from this storage unit. And I built my house there approximately between 35 and 40 years ago. And when I initially built there, the storage unit was not there. Unfortunately, it showed up. But at any rate, all that said and done, I'm not here to try to prevent this thing from happening, because I'm sure it's going to happen regardless of what I have to say about it. But I am here to the degree that every inch of that area over there, with the exception of a small grassy area right in front of my house or right there, everything else is either paved over with asphalt or buildings. I don't believe anybody has done a study of runoff and storm drain and storm water on this facility out there since its inception. I have called the county road department and the county to get them to come out there and look at the amount of water that we're dealing with out there. Since that building was, or since those buildings were built over there, and it's not the fault of the new owner now, even though I totally disagree with him on the U-Haul and all this other stuff that's going in there. I don't think that should be. But at any rate, having said that, the amount of water, I have measured the water over on West Salem Road at 36 to 40 inches deep in the ditch. And right in front of the storage facility, I have measured it at least 24 inches deep when it's raining. And across on the east side, my neighbor south of me has anywhere from 6 to 9 inches of water stacked up in his yard. You can literally float a boat in there, and I have seen his kids doing just exactly that. So we need to address this. The retention pond over there is nowhere close to adequate for this mess, and on top of that, adding another building in there. And I understand here, according to this, it's almost 15,000 square feet, and that's not counting the asphalt that's going to go around it. That is going to further exacerbate the amount of water runoff that we're having to deal with. This is backing all the way up from the intersection of Howard Nickel, West Salem, and Ruppel Road. From that point right there all the way back, sometimes as far back up north of my house, there is water standing, and I have seen it very deep when we have some very severe rains out there. Getting this thing approved, if y'all approve it, that's I don't care really, but you need to address the water out there, because all of us are being impacted by the excessive amount of water that is being backed up because the county will not do anything about the runoff and the ditches and the retention of the water and do something with that. If you do that, then, if it gets intolerable for me otherwise, I'll simply sell my house and move someplace else. But I mean, bottom line is, the water is killing all of us. It needs to be dealt with. This retention pond is nowhere close to adequate, period. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right, looking at the audience, I'm going to say that's it. You got anything you want to say back?
So let's first start with the traffic count that he addressed. It's a form letter we use, even though the address itself on the form letter was incorrect. If you look at the traffic counts themselves, they do reference to mini storage. So wanted to just say, with our workload lately, that was a oversight on our part. Because no, not all the projects are on East Mission or wherever these are called. The second part was, yes, we agree, the detention pond is undersized. As part of this project, we are also increasing the capacity of the existing detention pond that we have on our site. We're digging it out, we're making it bigger, and we're trying to make it better in general to kind of meet the detention requirements for this site. So that is probably not going to fix the problems that they have on North Salem, because that's probably not just our property that's causing that to happen, but in our way, we are trying to at least alleviate a little bit of that. So just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Lauren.
Before you leave, can you address the potential renting of a beauty shop on this property?
I will actually let the owner developer address that, because it's beyond my head, so give me 1 second.
Henry Jordan, I'm the owner. The beauty shop issue would be we have a office for the storage. We have a office behind that's been rented numerous times to different approved people, I guess, through the city. I mean, they have business license, so that's all I can say. We rent the office behind to, like I said, it was a moving company one time, and then I think a lawn service one time, and this lady is running a very professional beauty salon out of there. I mean, it doesn't bring maybe 2 to 3 cars a day. They park right behind where my storage parking is. We have adequate parking. It all meets the city code, the county code that we know of. On top, we have a living facility for my manager. So, all that got approved when the development occurred. I did not own the development. I bought it since then, but that's the best I can tell you about the beauty salon, just in an office space behind my manager's office and below his house. So.
How long have you owned the property, sir?
I'm gonna say 5, 6 years. I did not develop it. It went back to a bank during the recession, I'm
aware.
I'm gonna think maybe 14, 15. I didn't really look at all that. I built another one out in Springdale that's similar, but we try to run it. We feel we're running very professionally.
Was the U-Haul rental piece of it there when you bought it, or you added that since then?
I can't answer that question. Like I said, it went back to a bank. I bought it from the bank, so it was, I wouldn't be able to answer that question.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right, then I'm going to ask Brian.
Hang on a minute, I'm confused about the U-Haul. You baffled me, I'm totally confused. So you've owned this property for 5 to 6 years, and you either own the U-Haul or you don't own the U-Haul?
No, we rent the U-Hauls.
Okay.
We have a contract with U-Haul.
Was that there when you bought the property, or has that been added recently, was my question?
Hey, when I got there, we started it, or it was there. I would have to go back and look, but it has been there ever since I owned the property. If it wasn't, I might have started it 2 months after that. I would have to go back really to look at my records on that. I don't want to misguide you, but we've had U-Hauls going out of there 95% of the time I've owned it, and we have a contract with U-Haul, just like any other car dealer. There's plenty of storage facilities that do it all through Washington County, all the way to Benton County. But
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then here's my question. The place is developed and approved as a mini storage facility. In order to operate those extra businesses within that, is that allowed?
Well, that would depend on what the CUP stated.
At the time that it was developed, or
Was this, how long has this storage facility been there? If you know.
It was 2008, 9.
Okay, so it was after our planning, after our zoning came in, so it would have had to have had a conditional use permit. My point is, it's not been grandfathered in. So what would have to happen is planning would need to go back and look at the conditional use permit, and if it had any mention of some spaces that could be leased that was approved, then sure. In the event that the conditional use permit was only for the storage facility and did not list any other commercial spaces to be subleased or leased by the owner, then I would say it's probably in violation of the CUP.
So I think I'm wrong on that time. I think it's previous to that. So if it was done prior to the zoning on this county.
If it was done prior to the zoning of the county and built with these commercial spaces in it, then it would be grandfathered in.
There's no way to find that out right now?
Not right now, I don't think.
Oh.
So I did that project with PDC, and I was with PDC between 2006 and 2007. So that project would have gone in that time frame right there.
So is that before or after, Brian, then?
Well, so the zoning, our zoning came in 2006. Yeah, it was 2006-66 was the ordinance the quorum court passed. And so it was in 2006. I don't know if this project began and was underway at the time that the zoning went into effect, then it would have been grandfathered in. If the project did not begin until after that, then it would have had to have gone through a conditional use permit process.
Can I speak to that? Can I speak to that? I would tell you that Dale Schultz built that facility, and it was before the zoning was changed, and he did not have a U-Haul system in there at that time. It was brought by this gentleman here. He started the U-Haul system, and he's done a bang-up job with the revenue stream on that thing, and I give him credit for that. I would have done the same thing. But no, the U-Haul thing was not there when he brought it, nor was the rental part of it upstairs. It was being occupied by Dale Schultz and his wife, who were the owners of it at the time until they lost it to the bank.
Okay, thanks, sir. Is that big grandfathered? Okay, that's what I need to know. All right, if there's no other comment, I'll bring it to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve the Salem Storage Expansion Pre-LSD as submitted.
Got a motion to approve?
I'll second, and I would encourage the applicant to do all they can to improve the retention pond and address the drainage as best they can.
So I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes. All right, next one's Farmington Planning Area. Item J, Mrs. Jack McClure, pre-sub.
All right. MRS Jack McClure Final Subdivision. The applicant is requesting final subdivision approval for the MRS Jack McClure subdivision. The zoning is for agricultural and single-family residential uses with a maximum density of 1 residential unit per acre. The project parcel is in the city of Farmington planning area. The subject parcels are located along Little Elm Road, Washington County 19, and Jack McClure Road, Washington County 625. Proposed lots in total will be 7. The subject parcel has an existing residence on it. The northern 2.52 acres plus or minus will become a proposed lot 7. The applicant is not proposing any private drives. Proposed lot 1 through 4 will have frontage on Jack McClure, Washington County 625. Proposed lots 5 through 7 will utilize Little Elm Road, Washington County 19. The county's standards for residential lots requires a minimum of 75 feet of street frontage. The lots have frontage that ranges from 109 feet to 274 feet. Staff have reviewed the submitted documents and recommends the following conditions. For the planning, the applicant should adhere with section Ordinance Section 11-102, vehicular access from private drive, and the applicant must adhere to all the technical review comments as the project proceeds through to completion. Back to the board.
Is that it, Sam?
Yes, sir.
All right, any questions for Sam?
You said that the minimum frontage is 75 feet, but we have one of them at 74 feet?
No, it's the required minimum is 75 feet, but all lots have ranges from 109 to 274.
Oh, 274, okay,
Yes.
sorry. Thank
So
you.
none of them below the minimum.
All right. Anything?
George DeKay with Blue & Associates here to represent.
Okay. Anybody on the board got any questions? If not, I'll put it in front of y'all for a vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Jack McClure pre-subdivision plat as submitted, subject to staff comments.
All right, I got a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
You done?
No. Oh, he's done, I think. Yes. I was fixing to say.
He gets raised.
Yeah. Yeah, your overtime's good. All right, last item, county. Item K, Kings Ransom RV Park Phase 1 Final LSD.
Finally, Kings Ransom RV Park Phase 1 Final LSD. The applicant is requesting final large-scale development approval for the Kings Ransom RV Park Phase 1. The zoning is for agricultural and single-family residential uses with a maximum density of 1 residential unit per acre. A conditional use permit was approved by the planning board and then ratified by the quorum court on April 1st, 2021. The project parcel is not in a planning area. Phase 1 of King Ransom RV Park proposal includes 18 RV spaces. Each space has a concrete pad provided for the RVs to park on. Each RV space has a sewer connection and a frost-free yard hydrant. The applicant has added a dump station per the Department of Health request, a fire hydrant by the entrance, and an embankment was constructed for stormwater drainage detention. The planning staff has reviewed the comments that came from the utilities, and there is like lots of them. I'm gonna just like recite the ones that like the planning department recommends. Simple, the applicant must adhere to all technical review comments as the project proceeds through to completion. Everything else like regarding the screening condition and like addressing conditions and the sewer like on fire and electric, drainage, road conditions, and environmental conditions are listed in the staff report. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Sam? Applicant here, they like to say anything? Okay. Anybody in the audience want to speak to this particular project? Okay, to the board. And I will say, per the pictures, very nice. Very nice.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we recommend approval of Kings Ransom RV Phase 1 Final LSD.
Got a motion to approve?
I'll second the motion.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You had to wait a long time just for that, didn't you?
I tell you, I'm not a fan of coming to these things because I get tired of listening to people talk about stars and dogs.
Now they can come to your place and look at all that.
Exactly.
Sounds like a developer.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
Other businesses.
Other business. You got anything on the first bullet point, Sam or Blake?
The discussion of current like development and planning department activities. Brian, if we're gonna like maybe discuss like meeting with them to expand on.
Yeah, we're gonna look at getting all of you together for a meeting to talk about maybe some changes, proposed changes to some of our things. One that Sam has presented to me that we've been talking about for a long time, and as you know, we're still working on our overall change to the system, but one is to save the county some money and time would be to require that the applicants be the ones that do the mailers. Right now, our staff, these guys, stuff all the envelopes, fill out all the green cards, mail everything out, and then we're reimbursed. This would put the onus on the applicant, and they would have to show and prove that, you know, they'd get a list of who to send it to, Then they'd have to come in and say, here are all the green cards showing we sent it to everybody or whatever. And which would satisfy.
We're also like planning on like providing them with the letters and everything, and like, so just make it easy on
Yeah,
them.
they
Just-
come in, want to do the process, you give
Yeah,
them the
you just
list,
go
and
like
then they do the expense and spend.
Yeah, we're gonna provide the letters and everything exactly like the way like we send it, just like it's on the applicant
to then get it out, yeah. Yeah, it should still be that way. That's one of the big time consuming. It costs, because we spend money and then the planning department has to wait for people to reimburse that. Sometimes that cost is a couple $1,000s or so, so that's a deal. There was one other, and one thing that I've got to look at is looking back over some of your rules. And I don't know that Robert's rules have ever been adopted. I think it's important that we get some standards, some rule standards on what our procedural rules are. And I know you've Joel, you've started limiting people to 3 minutes. I think that's something we should probably put in a rule.
Okay.
So you don't get any pushback on that. So just some things like that we'll look at. I don't know when that'll be, how soon that'll be, but we do plan on kind of getting everybody together to talk about some of those things.
Hey, and I'll tell you, Brian, the only reason that I did that was that's what I learned from Bob and, when they were running it.
Oh, yeah.
Bob
No,
and Randy, when they would do it, when it was anything that was going to be controversial, so
Well,
that's
if
the
you
only
don't,
reason.
you'll be here all night.
Yeah.
And the quorum court does the same thing. They have a 3-minute rule. So,
yeah.
And y'all, that sort of thing, we can look at.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
I've
even
spent
look
enough
at
time on
limiting-
Springdale's to know that if you don't limit it, oh my gosh, it's going to
Yeah,
be forever.
that's right.
So, well, and I will add one thing that we can add to that, and me and Philip were talking about, I think, Lauren, same thing. Owner, is there any way when we have this listed on here, that we have the owner, who the owner is listed on here? Is that even possible?
We can, we can if you want to, but like the staff report has like the owners and the engineering and everything, so. But if you want it to be added onto the agenda, I guess, Brian, we can? Yeah, absolutely. One more thing that's also like with Brian's approval, like our staff is working diligently on like updating all the application forms to make it like more informative and more easy on us, so we can at least gather as much information to make it easy on us to present it to you. So when they come, at least like you will be familiar with like the operation, if you have an employee, something like that, parking sizes and everything.
Okay.
We're trying to add all of this to the application to gather as much information. And we might discuss this as well, like during the meeting, and like if we need your inputs as well, like if you have anything we need to add or like discuss it, and if it's everything approved and Mr. Brian Lester here like agrees to it, we can just like update everything. We're like in the process, we've done like lots of them, and if we can get everything like with your like inputs on it would be great. Makes it easier on everyone, I believe.
Okay, and then one other thing, and this is just me. But the one applicant tonight that tabled because of our board attendance here. I understand Jay not feeling well. I totally get that. But, I'd like to take a look at attendance to where that if we don't have somebody that's attending on a regular basis, in order for us to be able to serve those people and make the decisions when they've gone through the process and brought it here before us, instead of them having to table it and wait to hopefully we have a full board.
Sure.
I
believe there's a rule in your bylaws that talks about the number of times you can miss.
3 in a row or 6 in a year.
3, yeah, something like that. So
Yes.
those are things and that's really up to the judge. So that's something that would be taken to the judge, and the judge could remove somebody pursuant to that and reappoint, so.
Is that something we do, or is that something y'all do, or?
That's something that we do, that the judge would do.
Okay.
Because I believe, I'd have to see. I don't know off the top of my head if the rules give you the ability
And
to vote on
understand,
it.
Brian, I don't have anything against anybody, but I think that if those people are gonna take their time, do their stuff, spend their money, and do this and that, that if we're volunteering to serve on this board at all possible, we need to be here.
Well,
And I
and it might be
understand, I
a-
understand our jobs, our priority over us doing this right here, but you've also gotta have it to the point where, you're
No, I get it,
averaging
and
5 out of 7 every time you come.
I think the
so.
bigger issue is requiring a certain number of the entire membership instead of a majority. And so that may be something that can be changed, that then you
Okay.
wouldn't, because let's face it, COVID's ramped back up.
Absolutely.
We could have, everybody could be out for a while, put on quarantine, that sort of thing. So there are, I understand that there are, with Jay, I'm, you know, worried that what he's getting coming down, hopefully it won't be that, but, yeah, we'll take a look at all that stuff.
Okay, all right, that's it. That's all I had. Anybody else got anything?
One thing, I guess, again, we did this on a municipality level. I don't know, I think I've mentioned it before. If we could have a one-paragraph synopsis on these, it would be very helpful. Instead of replat of 1, 2, and 3, you know, just a simple combination of these. We're creating 2 lots of 20 acres each instead of 3 lots of 10. Just something like that, so you kind of see the nuts and bolts of it. It's been very helpful at the municipality level, just having one-page synopsis paragraph on all of these items, something we might
Can
consider.
you email
at
one
the
of those
county
to Sam so that he'll have it to look at, to have like a template to go off
Yeah,
of?
be happy to.
Because I've talked to them about cutting down on the amount of time that they spend presenting. Because I know we send all these out, and I get it. You're like the rest of it. You're like quorum court members. You got day jobs. You got other things, other obligations. But the goal would be to just hit certain things, and not go through this is looking west and this is looking east and this is if you go upside down and look at it the same way. Not to say it's what we've done, but I know that's just kind of the practice that has evolved. And I don't know that any of that's, you know, necessary, other than hitting the main.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. If you had a synopsis of, these are the pertinent facts, this is what we're looking at now, this is what the board needs to consider, it's beneficial in the staff presentation time of these large
and
agendas.
we activated like the planning email address, so if you don't want to like reach a specific like person, you just do planning at washingtoncountyar.gov, it will go to the entire staff. Yeah, and I need to add like one more thing. So Blake has been here like for about like 6 weeks. He's done a spectacular job. So I'm like, we really thank him for like his being with us. Yeah.
I got a haircut today, so a lot of the
Hey, we're ready for you to get up in front of that
Blake,
microphone and rock and roll.
Blake needs to be presenting next month.
Absolutely.
Next meeting.
I think that's what I was
He
fixing to
comes
say.
from his dad's a planner.
Oh, I know, Mr.
So,
Chapman.
I mean, I'm thinking, man, throw this guy to the wolves. You don't have to, don't let him have the training wheels too long. You know?
Oh, well, we can.
I don't think he needs them.
I have a couple of projects coming up next month.
Good deal.
All right, and then one other thing that I just noticed in looking at the last time, and I don't know if we need to go back and readjust our approval of the agenda, but the next 2 meetings, February 25th and April 1st, those are both Fridays. So I think those need to be. Well, I got my phone up on 22 right here. Is this 2022? Am I right?
That doesn't matter. It's Scribner's error. It's the wrong date, so we'll go in and fix those I'll make sure they're correct on the website and make sure that we have it for you
5
guys.
weeks should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one should be February 17th. Yes. Yeah, just for note, just checking on it.
We'll get that fixed.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right,